too early. I can't believe it's time to get up already, but that's okay. A man's morning routine is everything. The first thing I do is I head to the washroom. My focus, brushing my teeth, my beard, and my skin. Tej Hanley, uncomplicated skincare for men, has changed my life. The face wash, the scrub, the super serum, the eye cream, the AM PM moisturizer has people giving me compliments left and right about my skin. At the beginning of each week, twice a week, I massage the scrub into my face and then I rinse. Every other day, I use the face wash. I put it into the palm of my hands and I spread it evenly across my entire face and my head. The Tej face wash keeps the pores clean and also removes all oil. My favorite part about Teach Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really make the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin easy. And because Teach Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers a great deal. Just click the first link in the description, and not only will you get Teach Hanley for the best possible price, but they also give you a free gift with your first box. Click that link and get started today for just $30.
Hi, Bruiser.
What's going on, Kay?
Oh, nothing. I didn't. Did that? Did that commercial seem different than the other one?
Nah,
Yeah,
it
I
was
did.
the same
How y'all
exact
doing?
one.
I didn't realize. I don't know, but yeah. How you doing, Bruiser? Hi, Kayla.
Hi, you guys. How's it going?
Hey,
Pretty
Hold,
good.
hold on, let me fix this really quick. How y'all doing though? Y'all had a good weekend?
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. I
I love
just
Y-
that.
I binge watched Ready to Love all
You
weekend.
did?
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite or like a least favorite yet?
My least favorite was Dominica, and favorite
Dominica?
was I forgot what his name was, Ralph or something like that. This tall
Ralph.
light skinned dude with a scruffy beard.
There's
Uh,
no Randall?
yeah, Randall. I think he was cool.
He said Ralph.
Yeah. It's interesting. Did you get all 4 episodes or just the beginning?
I think we got to watch the fourth one. We
Yeah.
watched the 1, 2, and 3. So,
Well, I
Kayla,
can't
how is it watching? Like, or
watching it's so weird and it's so frustrating because they cut out 90% of the things that happen. So you guys only get to see such a short part. Like in any conversation or a date, it probably went on for like 2 hours or an hour. You guys literally see like 2 minutes of it. So it's a little bit frustrating, but so far so good as far as I'm concerned. I don't have major issues with anything so far.
are people asking you questions like trying to get the scoop?
Yeah, they're like, "Did you find love? Just tell me. Like, are you with someone? Like, what's the deal?" And it's just like I just can't say. Like, how would it be for the viewers?
When does
yeah,
the
that's
last
that's that's
air?
the difficulty. I knew like
October.
Oh,
I heard people talking, you know what I'm saying, and being asked questions, and it sounded like they were being cut off, like from being too real, you know.
They may cut out things that are like really real. They'll cut it out, but then they'll leave in some things that are things you don't want in there, I guess.
So it seemed like they just blue pilled everything.
No, it's gonna get very interesting as time. What does that mean? Blue pilled.
Oh, I mean, sort of like politically correct, you know. So yeah,
Yeah,
they did blue
they
pill
cut
everything.
certain things out. They didn't use certain words just to keep things away from certain things. But I do think that throughout the season, what I can say is that it's not blue. It gets very complex. Like we start talking about real issues, things I haven't seen spoken about on other seasons. So it's gonna be interesting. Y'all keep watching every Friday.
all right. So, Kayla, you sent me, I guess, a screenshot or like an IG post of the guy who was, and this is like getting into our first topic, of the guy who went on a vacation with his friend and his wife wanted to come. Um, and he got a first class ticket for him and his friend, and then his wife was in economy.
Right.
So, you and I were talking about that a little bit, and it kind of prompted our first question. So, is it acceptable to put your friends' wants or needs before your spouse's? Bruiser, let's start with you because you're married. I'm sure you have friends. Like, what do you think of that particular situation? I wish we had the IG like post or whatever it was to pull up, but yeah, he was going on a vacation with his friend. They flew first class, and they were like, I guess he was like, well, if you want to go, you're going to fly in coach. and the wife was upset. And the friend called her entitled and was like, this is why we didn't even want you to come in the first place. Something like that.
Yeah, I actually saw that. Somebody sent me a post a couple of days ago about that, and I think he was using it whenever she confronted him. He was using the fact that she didn't have a job, and you know what I'm saying, she shut up. I guess you're not working anyway.
Because she's a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah,
he made her a stay-at-home mom.
And the reason why the person who sent me that is because I advocate for, men taking care of, the brunt of the finances to allow the woman to take home and take care of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of was a shot at me to say, I told you so, see what happened. But I'm like, yeah, well, if he's going to be like that, then I would go to work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just go to work. And if he say, oh, I want you home, well, you can't be throwing up in my face that I can't work to justify your talking points around buying your friend a first class ticket and putting me in economy. So like, short answer, no, I don't advocate for putting your friends before your spouse wants and needs.
Same. I thought it was just absolutely ridiculous. Like going on a vacation, me, you, and your friend. One, where's your friend's partner? Two, I don't understand ever wanting, just from a protective standpoint as a man, ever wanting to be traveling apart from your wife. Because it's totally different when you fly first class and fly coach. And first class, especially if you get if you're American Express member, you get the lounge services. So you get food, like you go to a whole other area of the airport. You get food, drinks, all these different things. You get to get on first. You sit in a whole different part of the plane. I just don't understand why he would want that if this is his wife. And then two, like if this was some kind of important sporting event for him and his friend that she was coming with, then why wouldn't y'all all be flying first class and like her bring her friend or something like that? Like none of this story makes sense. So when I saw this, it was like, oh yeah, did somebody show this? Right? It was given that, right? It was giving that. Okay. So weird. It was just the weirdest thing I ever seen on social media.
I mean, I don't know. Bruiser, have you ever been on a vacation with like just one friend? Like one male friend?
Like you, your wife, and one male friend?
No, not even your wife, just one male friend.
Just you and a male friend.
Wow,
man.
I mean, I just never, and there's nothing wrong with it or anything like that. That's not what I'm alluding to at all. But I've just never even heard of like a man being like, you know what? Me and this one friend are going somewhere and the wife is staying at home and they're not bringing their part. Like, I don't know. Where were they going to see a game?
I get that if they're going to see a game. If they're going to see a game, I get that. Like, not all the sporting events I want to go to.
It's valid. But it's valid for sure. I was just wondering if like Bruiser's ever done that because I've never heard. And of course, I'm not privy to men's conversations because I'm not a man. So I've
been to an occasion. I've been to like a basketball game or something like that. But as far as flying overseas, no. and I'm married too. Like going to like Cancun or Puerto Rico or Rio or something like that. Oh no, that's not going down in my marriage. I mean, for certain reasons, man. I don't want to get into that. I mean, I can get into it, but I don't want to deviate from the topic. But yeah, like if I'm going to go see a game with my homies, like out of town or something, like we in DC, we go watch the Wizards play. I mean, she would be okay with me just going with her. You know what I'm saying? But if it's like Vegas or it's like freaking Jamaica or Dominican Republic or something like that, come on, man. First of all, it ain't gonna be just me and him. It'll probably be me, him, and like 3 other guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that before, like bigger groups of friends, going places.
Yeah.
I still don't see
Yeah.
the problem with just you and your friend, because I just me and one of my girlfriends, we do things. So I have no issue
It's
with
really
my
No,
man
there's
with
no
him.
there's no
Like they,
problem.
yeah. I just think it's weird to want to go on a trip with your wife and your friend, and then to sit with your friend and have your wife sit in the economy. I just think it's
that rarely. I think that's
ridiculous.
the reason why that was got so much publicity. So because it doesn't really happen like that.
Right? It's just crazy.
So yeah. So no, but as far as going on to see, yeah, it's okay. But I mean, it's really hard to find a group of guys that's got the same mentality as far as, you know, how do you act whenever you're under pressure or you tempted. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of guys I hang around with, I guess you can say they're for the streets. So I mean, I don't hang around them, but the guys I grew up and I know that's my friends
Your friends, like yeah.
are single, and if they going overseas with a bunch of dudes to like Germany or something like that, come on, man, we going to drink, we're going to party, and we ain't gonna be in each other's faces all day. Our eyes are gonna be peeled out. So, and I know that. So I'm like,
So you're just trying to avoid any possible situations that could become complicated.
well,
Yeah,
if
but I
it's
feel like
alcohol involved, man, it's like the chances of, you know, making a mistake or getting caught up increases. Not saying that I'm just gonna do it blatantly, but I'm saying I won't have the capacity to make sound judgment. You know what I'm saying? Because my judgment is impaired. And if any man tell you anything different, then he probably is not going to be drinking alcohol or anything like that, or smoking marijuana or anything like that. Because once you start doing those things and you out with a bunch of friends and you in Puerto Rico or in Cancun or somewhere, or on a vacation with a bunch of guys, you don't want to be around a sausage fest the entire time, especially when you under influence. You're going to want to see what the ladies looking like. And then there you go. Now it's all about restraint. Well, I think y'all call it dick discipline, right?
yes, it's about dick discipline. I feel like a man should be able to go out with his friends, hang out, even take trips, and have the discipline to control himself, just as I am able to do the same. And I feel like that should just be a given in a relationship or a marriage, just like not even a conversation.
I don't even know but see, honestly, I don't even know if I would want to, like, if I'm going to go to Dominican Republic with 5 of my buddies and we're going to go party and drink and I can't get no pussy while I'm going, I don't even want to go.
Yeah, but what instance is that all trips are just about that? You know what I mean? I can think of me and a bunch of friends that we took a trip for a friend's engagement party. We took a trip for someone's christening. I think we all came together for somebody's graduation. So like every time you go to do an event, there's always going to be, well, I don't know. There's very few things that I've gone to and there hasn't been some type of party that we end up going to or something that we end up doing where like as adults, alcohol can be involved in literally anything. So, I don't know. I feel like for all the things that you will go do, even at a family reunion, I mean, for all the things that you would go do, there'd be some kind of like entertainment aspect to it. So I think it's more on the onus of yourself to just be like, I can manage myself no matter what setting I'm in. And if I do feel like it's coming to a place where I can't, then I'm like, all right, y'all, have a good night, and I'll go to my room or whatever. So that's just my perspective, but.
Yeah, but like, I mean, if I'm out with like a bunch of, or I know guys in my network, photographers or something, and we go like to Italy or, Rome to capture history and its arts or something like that, that's different. But if I'm going with a group of my fellas, guys I've known back in the military, we still connected and stuff, we're not going over there for that. We're not going to go see a FIBA match or nothing like that. We're going to go like, I don't know, we're just going to go party. And if you spending $2,500 on a trip for a ticket, you know what I'm saying? Just to go, what do you say? Go see somebody get christened? Guys, I don't think guys do that. Guys and girls travel for different interests.
Really? So you don't think men travel to actually see the world and experience other cultures and do new things? Or do
That's
men
exactly
only travel like to party?
That is part of partying. Traveling to see the world and see different cultures.
Because I know all people I know want to see the world. Like, obviously looks one way from the internet, but most, I don't know a whole lot of people that are like, no, I just want to stay in this house for 50 years and do my same routine and sometimes go to Six Flags. Like, you know what I mean? Like, most people I know want to see the world, and that's traveling. I mean, most people haven't even seen this damn country, let alone the world. A lot of people don't even have passports. So let's just talk about regular trip to go to like Niagara Falls, something that people do because that is a wonder of America. There's so many wonders of America that you can travel and go see right here in your own country, whether it's the Grand Canyon, like I said, Niagara Falls, Mall of America. I mean, there's so many things that you can do. Like, do you have to always do them with your spouse?
Well, see, something like that I would like to do with my spouse, like travel.
Well, of course, but I mean, do you have to always?
What do you mean have to always like?
Do you have to always? Like, I remember a few years ago, my friend had got engaged and I went to her engagement party. My spouse, it was kind of up in the air if he wanted to come or not. It wasn't like a big deal. He ended up not coming. It was kind of a girly thing. So, you know what I mean? Do I need my spouse to go to my friend's baby shower if it's in, where is that? Maryland, and I live in Florida? You know what I mean? Like, does she have to come with you to every single thing, or do you have to come with me to every single thing?
No, I think it all depends on what it is. If we got mutual friends, or if I got a friend, or she got a friend that's got a baby shower or a wedding or something, yeah, we're gonna go together.
Of course.
I wouldn't want to go to that by myself. It just seemed weird. I show up to a wedding. Where's your wife? Like,
yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know if I would go to a guys trip to a wedding. Like, go to someone else's wedding without well, what if your spouse just couldn't go? Would you not go? Like, what if it was one of your best friends from college?
Oh, yeah.
That was the same weekend as your wife's mom's birthday. And so she goes to her mom's and you go to your friends. Like, would you feel some kind of way at being at the wedding without her there?
No, I would. I mean, if I'm in the wedding, if I'm a groom or something like that, then yeah, I'll go. But if I'm not a groom, nah, I'm good. We'll send a gift if we can't show up together.
Okay, cool.
So it all depends on the circumstances. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
Kayla, do you remember that show we did a long time ago? It was many months ago, and we had a guest, and she talked about how much she solo traveled.
Yeah, she did.
So like, I don't know. I kind of think of it the same way as that. Not necessarily. I mean, of course, like one instance is solo and one is with friends, but I think that that's something that like you really have to discuss with your partner and see what, conclusion you can come to. Like Bruiser was saying, like certain things I wouldn't even want to do without my husband. Like going to see some amazing like wonder of the world, I would want to do that with him. But like you said, if it's a baby shower or something, and I'm like, hey, you want to go? And he's like, no, I'm cool on that. Then I would, no issue. So I guess it just really depends on what you and your partner decide and what you both think about it.
It's based on interest too. Like I wouldn't want to go paintballing with my wife. I mean, that would suck.
I would love that.
I would rather go with the guys.
Well, of course.
Right. Interest, yeah, Bruiser, that's true. Interest is definitely important.
Isn't travel an interest? Because like when I travel, I like go to the museums and like, I know like y'all be going and just laying on the beach and going to eat, but I like to go like do the tours and get some information about every single place I've gone. I do something like attractional. Like when I went to Sweden, we did the tour. I got to learn about dynamite and all these different things. Like same thing, Belize. Like we went to see the historic, like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody does things differently, but like when people say that they like to travel, people like to go different places and eat different food and drink different drinks. And then some of us like to go and see the world and like get it, like learn information about different things. So I think that perspective can also change like how you travel with your spouse. If they know that you're the type of person when you travel, you go to turn up and you go to, get lit and that is your idea of travel and fun, then I probably would like be like, okay, we got to travel together, you know. But like if I know that you're really like you think of travel differently, then it's just kind of like, yeah, go experience. If I'm not available to go every single time, what if our kid has a soccer game? I don't know, something like I can't go with you every time. So I would just have to trust my man to be able to conduct himself when he goes on the golf retreat. I don't know, whatever. Because people
So it's
do
a
that,
matter
right?
of trust. Trust. So
Trust. It's a matter of trust. It's a matter of trust. So we got some super chats in the building. I see we have hold on. Oop, my bad. We got Kelly said maybe they were secret lovers. Low key, it was given secret lover. I don't
you
know.
talking about the guys? Ooh.
I mean,
I didn't think of it like that, but that's makes you wonder.
I didn't think of it like that either. I just thought, I don't know. Maybe they just, I don't know. But that's why I asked you, Bruiser, like as a man, have you ever gone on just a trip with one other male friend? I've heard of men going out, bachelor party type of thing, maybe some kind of fishing or golfing situation or whatever kind of situation, doing something that they like together. But like going on a whole vacation with one other friend, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but I've never personally heard of any man doing that. So that's why I was just asking, like, for more insight from you, Bruiser, like what you think about that. Or if you've ever done that, but I don't think you.
I've gone on trips. You know what I'm saying?
With one person?
Yeah, I had a friend. Well, I still have a friend. He's still my friend. His name's Breezy. I don't know if he's been on here before, but we used to go everywhere together. And are we talking about while I'm in a relationship or while I'm single? Or
While
it doesn't
you're in
matter.
a relationship.
See, that changes things. When you're in a relationship, depending on who you see, your spouse or your significant other don't know your friend like you know. So my friends, I have friends that's gonna be loyal to me, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? If I go out and get some cheeks, they ain't gonna say nothing. So I gotta be careful with who I go out with and where I go. You know what I'm saying? So
that's true.
It's certain places I'm not gonna go. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not trying to mess up what I invested in. You get what I'm saying? Or take any risk. So like, if we go into a game, yeah, that's cool. But if you talking about, okay, let's go get a section at Rose Bar, I'm like,
oh, I love some Rose Bar. You live in DC?
I just moved from DC. I moved to Atlanta.
That's right. Oh, I love Rose Bar though.
I hate it because
it's
just too crowded.
It'd be lit up in Rose Bar, okay?
It's just too crowded. Even when you got a section, like you still
up on people. It's tight in there.
Damn. So like, how can you enjoy that? So I'm used to the old days where it was only so many people in the club, and then you had this middle of the club where everybody decided to get drunk enough and go dance.
Right. But then everything else is kind of sectioned out.
That's how dance right where you at.
That's how Josephine's was. That was my spot.
Yeah.
It don't exist no more though.
It all depends on my situation, as far as relationship, because you got to know that women have insecurities. So even if I did go out with my friend, just knowing his history, if she know him and know his history, she would always, have this insecurity in her head. Like, damn, I wonder what they did. Are you going to tell me everything? You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's lying. And then to start going through your phones and your messages and shit. Oh, why you deleted this message?
I don't know about going through the phones thing. I just feel like I can't do the going through the phones thing.
You just look like you will go through the phone. No, you know what, Kayla? You look like the type of person that won't go through the phone. But when I get a message, you get a notification that I got a message. You look like that type of person.
What?
Wow.
You said you got the forwarding on, like you're getting the.
No, I'm really not like that. Honestly, I've never gone through a guy's phone like in an unprovoked, like sneaky kind of way. I've just never done that. it was actually done to me. And that is why I never will do it, because things get taken out of context. And I just think that we should stay out of each other's phones. I think that is the best thing. I don't go looking for trouble. Like for me, I don't know. I feel like if I know, I have a good sense of, I'm very, I pay attention to a lot of different things, and I remember a lot. As a Gemini, I'm honestly, I can remember the littlest things, and I just know if you're lying. So I don't need to go through your phone, because I know you're lying. I'll let you know that I know that you're lying. And then when you see the dynamics change, if you're guilty, you're just going to start doing things. You're just going to start doing different things. That's all I'll say. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I just feel like let's not do that. Let's not go through the phones. Let's just because then if I have to go through the phone, that means you won't just tell me, because I'm just ask you directly. So if I have to go through your phone, that means you're already lying to me, because now I have to go through your phone.
Why do y'all ask with the insinuation that I'm already, like, the person is already guilty? Like, y'all shape y'all questions as if the response is, how I respond is technically admitting to offense. Like, instead of saying,
because we usually already know. We've usually done a whole lot of research that says A plus, 1 plus 2 plus 3,
okay, whatever.
And this is looking like the answer. So I'm going to ask you. I'm just going to ask you directly. I know the answer, and I think that the way that you respond, women I don't know, you can just kind of feel it when someone's like lying to you. I don't know. That's just me. When you really get to know your spouse, and you know your spouse, when you really know them. Because I know a lot of people in relationships with people they don't know for the sake of being married, right? But when you really know your partner, like when you know them, I know when you're lying. You have tells. I mean, it's psychology in a way. So that's just what I think.
If your partner, Kayla, told you that, their friend was feeling away, because maybe, let's say you got in a relationship and they start spending less time with their friend because they're obviously spending more time with you. Mm-hmm. And they told you that their friend feels away and, they want to start spending more time with that friend. Would you think they were lying, or how would you take that? Or does it depend if you know the friend? Like,
no, I wouldn't take that any kind of way. That's the truth. And I would just say, like, I get it, because you don't have any more free time. You only got we time. So he might be feeling like he not, that happens, especially when you get to like that really mature place in a relationship. Mm-hmm. You do just stop spending that as much time with your friends. So I would understand, and I would be like, I would encourage him to invite his friend places. And I would encourage him to spend time with his friend, especially if I know I'm like busy or something. I would be like, oh, go hang with so-and-so. Like, how you doing? How's things been with him? Then you say something went on with his mom or something. Oh, you go check on him. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? And like, just make sure, because I know how it is when I'm in that place these last couple of years where like everything's changing. People are getting families. People are getting married. People's priorities are changing. I have friends that I'm so close with. We haven't spoken in like 3 weeks, but when we get back on the phone, it's like we talk every day. But that's just how it has to be, because people's lives are evolving. So no, I wouldn't have a problem with his friend feeling a kind of way. Now, what did his friend say about me exactly?
He just said, I noticed that since you got with Kayla, we haven't been hanging out.
Okay, I can take that. I can deal with that. That's fine. And he's right, because your boy don't got free time no more. He only got we time. Me,
but
him, and Kayla.
That also reveals that maybe, possibly, this guy ain't been on his best behavior if he can't hang out with his friend. And I think if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, okay, from reading those messages on that Instagram post about this topic, it said that they would always go out and travel.
Yeah, that's different.
So now, since he's been with her, he's not able to travel anymore. It's kind of ironic, ain't it? You just cut off that activity like that because of what though?
Oh, you're saying like if he used to be out and about all the time and now suddenly he's not, that there might be like some underlying reason why he feels like he can't watch TV.
I'm sensing there may be some infidelity because now that you can go out, you've got to bring her with you. So you can go overseas, you can go watch, you can go travel, but I gotta go too. Oh,
What do you think about
he probably just got mad and like, oh, since you want to go, I'm just gonna give you this bullshit ass ticket, piss you off while you want to go, so you won't ever want to go with us anymore.
So is that passive aggressive?
Passive aggressive.
Like,
explain that to me. I got a dumb moment right now.
So instead of the husband, and I'm asking if you think this, I'm not saying that this is what it is, but instead of the husband just saying, look, this was a trip I had planned with my friend. Sorry, but you can't go. Maybe next time. But instead of doing that, he's like, and I'm just assuming. I have no idea what the situation was. Maybe there were no more first class tickets. I have no idea. But instead she had a ticket in a different section of the airplane. And you were just talking about like him saying, here you go, just so you can be mad while you're here since we didn't want you to go anyway. Is that passive aggressive? Instead of just telling her directly, like, look, you can't come this time, but maybe next time.
Yeah. So, and I actually asked you, what does passive aggressive mean? Because I had a dumb moment. He explained. I think you rephrased the whole question.
Yeah, I thought you were asking me what I was asking, but basically,
okay, go ahead.
Instead of being direct about something, like you're just doing other things to kind of get your point across without having to have the confrontation.
So yeah. So in that case, yeah. So I feel like this guy is haven't grew enough balls to stand up to his woman and just set things straight. Be like, hey, be straight up with her. Like, I don't want you to go. And it's kind of hard. I think a lot of guys struggle with that because they don't want to hurt feelings. A lot of women get caught up in their emotions. Oh, you don't want me to go with me. What do you think of me? Oh, you think I'm ugly, or you think I'm this, or I'm thinking I'm that because you don't want me to go. And you get all these questions. Some guys just, instead of having to answer all those questions, they just say, fuck it. I'll just let you come and I'll just make your life miserable. And you'll get it. You'll understand that I don't want you to be here that way. So whenever we fly, you're not going to be sitting with me. Whenever we're laughing, you're not going to be part of it.
Yeah, but does he not know his wife? Why would he have thought that was going to work? Who does he? That's what I'm saying. Do y'all know who y'all married to? Because I'm just trying to think, if I was in this situation, any man I'm married to wouldn't even try this. They wouldn't try this at all.
I don't have this issue. I'm just saying, like, I'm able to recognize it. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been in this situation before. But I don't have that issue. I'm just saying that those are some of the things that go through a person's mind when they're dealing with somebody who's easily emotionally triggered. You know what I'm saying? And she becomes even more insecure. So to prevent that, you got to tell a woman what she want to hear sometimes. Sometimes I actually do tell a woman.
Yeah, but then he ended up losing bad because remember, she left. She got off the plane and went back home, and he got off and went back home too. So now he done wasted how much money? Stupid. So stupid.
Yeah, that was childish. So what do you think? What do you think? He should have went back with her, or he should have just flew with his friend?
He should have told his friend to go sit in the economy.
They could have just switched.
Simple.
See, here's the thing, and I'm glad you said that, because if I'm his friend and I've been invited or I'm going out, first I'm like, hey, look, is it okay? Can you just tell her, can it be just me and you? If you have a problem articulating that to her, you know what I'm saying? Are y'all going through something to where she has to chaperone you on the trip? Just let me know straight up, brother. And then secondly, if he say, yeah, she got to come. And then I know that we both he's purchased me a ticket for first class and himself and his wife come. I'm like, hold on, man. Man, let's let your wife sit up here with you. I'm going to sit in the back. Right. Y'all sit up here. And whenever we get off the plane, we'll chop it up then. But see, that lets you know what type of friends you got. Friends is allowing you to make because you got to understand, what if that was your wife, bro? Would you do that? I guarantee you, a lot of these cats hanging around with these guys and just let them be idiots in front of their wife. They wouldn't do that to their wives. I guarantee you that brother, his wife would be right there, and your ass would be back in the economy. So if it's me, I'm going to the economy. I'm like, hey, ma'am, do you want to sit up there with your husband? She probably have an attitude. You know how women are. Well, he didn't have me here in it first. No, good. It's too late now. You know how y'all get.
What?
I wouldn't do that.
Now.
I would be like, it's about time that you came back here and like what in the fuck? I actually would have never went back there. I would have been like stayed at the first class. Like,
I think most friends, I think that if a friend is a real friend that you're really close with, and they know you well, and they know your relationship, and how much it means to you and all that, I don't even think they would try to flex their friendship power over your spouse ever. Like, I don't think that friends do that. So Bruiser, I agree with you. If you were going and it was you and your guy friend and his wife, you would probably just be like, look, bro, no big deal. I'll sit back there. She could sit up here. Y'all could sit together. We're all going to the same place anyway, right? Instead of trying to prove a point, and I'm not saying like, I don't know what these people's situation was, so I'm not judging them, but I'm just saying like, I would think that people would try to avoid that situation and just say, no big deal. Sit with your person. We'll see each other when we get off the plane.
Yeah, that's why I feel like there's a deeper thing going on, because none of this makes sense. But none of it makes sense at all. So there
I'm just reading this straight up. Like his friends, this is from the message. Said his friends sent me a text calling me entitled. It said this was the reason why he didn't want my husband to take me with him, and I just proved his point.
Entitled, and the fact that he texted your wife, like you text his wife and called her a name.
Yeah, that was inappropriate.
None of this is making sense. Like, now I'm leaning towards Kelly. Like, maybe they are lovers, because entitled, are you jealous of me? Do you like this man? Because I don't know what's going on here. None of that's making sense to me.
I see.
You texting me like a jealous girlfriend, right? Like a jealous side chick right now. What the heck is going on?
He don't like her, man. He don't like his wife.
It doesn't always have to be like secret lovers for people to be jealous. Like, friends can be jealous, like, of your new mate. That happens, to men and women and people of any gender. Like, they'll get jealous of the relationship you have with your new mate. So, but it's not necessarily that they want you. It's just a jealousy that some people get when they start, being the second choice instead of the first one after years or whatever.
Are you not? Maybe his friend is jealous that he has a wife and happiness and all of that, and he's still single, and he needs his friends to be able to like go and do things and have experiences. So, I mean, that is possible.
Is there any time where either of you would put your friends' wants and needs over your husband or wife?
No. Over? Before? No.
I don't think so either.
No, man. I don't think there's ever an occasion that you can do that.
That doesn't work.
Unless you literally do not want to be married to your wife anymore or your husband anymore.
I agree.
At that point, y'all falling apart. You know what I'm saying? You don't care each other. You just sticking it in for the kids and shit. And then, now at that point, you're going to start putting everything before to just try to run her out. If you ain't got balls enough to get out of the relationship. Or you could have been in a relationship for 10 years or more and you don't want to leave because you don't want to pay alimony.
So just to clarify, someone in the comments saying he told her no and she still bought a ticket. She doesn't have a job, like he said. So I don't get this whole narrative, you people who keep going, oh, he told her no, he didn't want her there. If he is the one that makes the money, he is the one that pays the bills and the leader of the house, and she doesn't work and doesn't have money, there's no way that she could have come on that trip without him wanting her to come on that trip. But he obviously wanted to send a message, and that's why she came on that trip in economy.
Nessa Ray Lewis said, I think the friends should get used to their new role way before the marriage. I agree.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what's confusing. They got kids. They clearly been together for a while. 3
yeah,
kids.
I think
And
it's
what are
real
you
weird.
doing?
I think it's really strange when friends want to try to compete with someone's husband or wife. Like, what are you doing and
You're
why?
gonna lose over
What,
here. That's the
what?
worst thing you can do. You're gonna lose so bad. Like, oh my goodness.
And there's just no point. Like, why? Why?
At all. It doesn't even make no sense, to be honest.
I mean, it don't make no sense, but I see it happen a lot. So I can't sit
Really?
here and say that I'm shocked. I see a lot of people doing that, man. A lot of people been friends since high school, 10, 20 years, and then their friend get married and stuff, and they still think they're the most important person in their life. So they have to.
It can't happen with siblings too. Like me and my brother's my best friend, and but our lives and our careers require us to be apart, so that's a little bit different. But I can see that happening with siblings when, like, you know, y'all are in your early 20s, it's your best friend, you're close with them, and then like they get married and dynamics change. I see that happen all the time with siblings too. So, you know, like Kay said, it doesn't always have to be that type of jealousy, but jealousy can be just I want to spend time with you, and now it's limited. It doesn't always have to be anything crazy, but it doesn't mean it's not something crazy.
Right?
Okay, so, but moving on to our next topic, I think this is very interesting. I saw this today, and I resonated so much with it for sure. So definitely big shout out to the ladies. And I want to get some feedback from the ladies in the comments as well. So let's check the video out and then we'll talk about it.
Check this out. Black women are tired. They're tired of being independent. They're tired of being looked at as the strongest. They're tired of having to take care of the kids by themselves. They're tired of bearing all the weight. Don't believe the hype that you see on all of these social media networks. Black women are tired, and the reason why I know this because I talk and have conversations with a lot of black women. But what a black woman really want, she want to be able to go to the soccer games. She want to not have to be the sole leader and sole provider of her family. She want to support the man who God gave her to be with. She want to be a helpmeet. The thing is, she's been placed in this position where she's had to lead. She's had to step up to the plate and become something that she really didn't want to be in the first place. She want to support her man. She want to nurture her kids. She want to nurture her husband while pursuing things that she's passionate about. That's it. It's that simple. The thing is, she just can't find a suitable leader that she trusts to come in and relieve her of these responsibilities so that she can finally get some rest, because that's what she wants. Rest.
So I saw this and I was like, I hear a lot of Black women saying a lot of things. You know, I'm not a single mother. I don't have kids. I directly identify with some of the load, you know, that he was talking about. But I see this and I hear this all the time. And I do think that the ultimate goal, if y'all have heard hashtag soft life, that a lot of Black women are trying to move into where we do get rest. And I think, like he said, a lot of us definitely feel like that's all we want to do: nurture our kids, nurture our man, and do things that we're passionate about. I think that's every single woman's want and goal. It's just the trauma, the different things that we've been through, not having the tools. There's lots of different reasons why people end up in you know, different types of situations. But I do want to know what you guys think about the video. Do you believe the Manosphere has been helpful in helping women achieve this goal? And what do you think about said goal?
I think the Manosphere have been very helpful. I think it's necessary in conversations like the ones he's been having with, like he stated, lots of Black women. It just doesn't. I'm just not convinced as much as he is of the notion that Black women are tired of the situation. I mean, he stated that Black women want a leader. They want to nourish and they want to be able to go after the things they're passionate about. I'm just not convinced of that because of the way women are moving, especially when we talking about black women, the way black women are moving. I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? It may be happening, but I just don't see it. I see, hey, look, I'm gonna put my career first. I'm gonna go get my own bag. I'm gonna become independent, self-sufficient. Then after that, that's when I'm gonna go try to find a partner. So, and I think that makes it difficult. I think we had these conversations before, trying to climb the corporate ladder, and then, you getting all these years on you, and now you're trying to have a relationship with a man and find somebody to support you. But based on your status and your socioeconomic status, your wealth, you know what I'm saying, your level of salary, you start to shrink that circle of men that you're going to be attracted to. Because if you start making 60, 70, 80, 90, 100,000 or more, then the guys you're going to go after is going to be around that or above it. And it's not a lot of guys in that bracket. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to date down. I don't see women making 200,000 dating a guy that's making 50,000. It's just not even happening. And I think that Trigger Mike, and I think we talked about this. The average income for a working man in the United States is what?
42.7 for a black man.
So if you put your career first, I mean, then it's okay to strive to have a better man that's making more money. That's good. Go for it. But there's only so many brothers that's in that bracket. I think once you get across 60,000, then you start shrinking, and then everybody want a guy that's 6 foot tall or better. So now you like, okay, you got all these preferences, all these check marks is shrinking your search query. You get what I'm saying? So I don't see it. I'm not convinced, man. It's just the way they're moving is not moving in that direction to where they want somebody to support. And then this thing about, the reason why I can't find him because I don't trust a man to be a leader. I don't think women know what to look for in a man, to the identifiers that let them know that, hey, look, I am that leader.
So why do you think that is? Why do you think that women don't know those identifiers?
Because they're not being taught these things. And when they're being taught these things, they're not listening. Their fathers.
Okay. So those black women that didn't have those fathers, that don't know how to trust a man because they haven't been taught, are those not the sisters of those same black men that you are saying are leaders, but did not have the fathers to teach them either? So how is it that they would be able to trust these men to be leaders when these men didn't have anyone to teach them how to be leaders?
So the way there's multiple ways you can learn how to identify it. You can come on platforms like Lapeef Network. You can talk. You can tune in to Ricky. What's his name? Ricky on Fridays. I think he just started last Friday. You can even tune into. A lot of people ain't gonna like this, but you can tune in Fresh and Fit. They'll show you. They'll show
you what?
They'll show you how to identify the identifiers that let you know that, okay, this guy is a leader. This guy is somebody.
What are some of them? What are some of them?
What are some of the identifiers?
Mm-hmm.
Like from your point of view, in terms of watching Fresh and Fit, and
right?
stuff.
But okay, before we even get there, though, when I'm talking about women didn't have fathers to teach them what to look for in a leader, and men did not have fathers to teach them how to be leaders. So I know we narrowed down the pool in terms of men that are have figured something out and are able to make like a decent sized life, right? Which is only probably 10% of the community making over 60,000, 70,000. So if that shrinks the pool, and then we shrink the pool with the men in that pool that had fathers that actually taught them to be leaders, then how many men are actually left? Because you can say, oh, the pool is small because y'all want men that make 100K, whatever. But if we're talking about leadership, the pool is small as well, because less than 30% of men out here had fathers.
But Kayla,
positive male role models in their life to teach them to be leaders.
But Kayla,
the trust of women.
He's saying that they're learning from places like Fresh and Fit. That's why I was asking him, like,
that's where they're learning male leadership, Fresh and Fit.
You can. Yeah, they'll show you.
He said. So that's why I was Kayla.
A lot of these platforms are brutally honest, and they get straight to the point. It's like a red pill type message.
Yeah, but the fashion fit may be exposing certain truths about dating, exposing thought processes about dating. That is not productive conversation on male leadership. And for anyone to say that, I'm like red flag on all the shit.
See, but Kayla, that's
saying fashion fit is where young men need to be learning about male leadership. Yes, there's some benefits to seeing the reality of dating in 20, but that is not a place that I would send my son and anything about male leadership. That's wild to me. I thought y'all were gonna say at least somebody else, like I don't know,
like Uncle
Barack
or
Obama. Goddamn it, I don't know.
Barack
That's not reality though.
Something.
Wait. Okay, so before Trigger Mike, I know you've been waiting patiently. Sorry, but Bruiser, you have to answer this question because Kayla, brought it up again, and the reason I asked you is based on the things that she was just saying. What are some of the things that you think that a man learns that are very productive in like manosphere spaces? Because I'll for anyone that knows me, I don't be watching these shows, so I'm not going to say, oh, there's nothing. I'm sure there's something that someone can learn, but like based on certain things I've seen and just like stuff like that. I am
the biggest thing we learn is just being honest with ourselves and just being real with ourselves and not letting the world or being politically correct stop us from achieving our goals or stop us from saying what we want to say and being who we want to be. Because we've been told all the time. Hey guests, everybody coming in. We've been told all the time, man. Look, somebody got an echo.
If I mute you, it's just because there's feedback or echo or whatever. Nothing personal.
But long story short, man, it's all about assertiveness. You know what I'm saying? Being able to plan stuff out. If you want to be in a relationship with somebody, protecting your seed. Until I got on the network and start and getting into the manosphere, I started being educated about protecting my seed and how many programs are set up against a man. And there's nothing for a man. There's no safety nets for men. All these safety nets for women. So men got to go about his duties and his actions a different way because we're held responsible and we forced to be accountable. We can't decide if we don't want to be accountable because there's nothing to back us. Women can decide whenever they want to be accountable. They can decide not to be accountable for their actions and they're going to be taken care of. Being in the manosphere has allowed me to understand that. Being in the manosphere has allowed me to understand that if I want to have a legacy, I have to sit down with a woman and have a conversation before I get into any committed relationship so I can vet her out and understand if she's going to align to what I want to achieve as far as a marriage and having children and stuff, so I won't screw myself over. Being in the manosphere has allowed me to understand those things. So if I can do it, a woman can do it. But it's just the way the delivery is in some of these networks that host manosphere conversations. I guess they say it's just too rude or too blunt. And for a woman, with emotions, you got to deliver it a different way. You got to put a bow on top of it and deliver her. Versus a man, you can just give me straight up.
Hey, Bruiser, don't say for a woman with emotions. A lot of
how many times have y'all been listening to somebody and y'all not listening to understand? Y'all listening to respond because the delivery was just too harsh. Y'all just
Kayla. Oh my goodness! Wait, Kayla. Wait, Kayla. Wait. Me and you get a lot of pushback based on our tone, right? They don't want to listen to the message. It's not the message. People get emotional and start screaming or whatever, or sending us hate messages or whatever because they don't like our tone. So if men are supposed to be the ones that don't care about tone, it's only about the message, then me and Kayla should never get a piece of criticism about our tone, how we speak, how loud or how softly we speak, or any of that. That's a complete contradiction. If men are the ones that don't care about this, then why do they care so much when it comes to certain women saying certain things? You can't have it both ways.
It's beyond that though, Kay, because a lot of the stuff is not even just harsh, whatever. It's straight up disrespectful. If you want someone to listen to you, you don't disrespect them. Like, I don't understand you. Okay, someone listening to you and someone learning from you means you're a teacher. There's certain decorum to being a teacher. I don't know any teachers at any universities, at any well-known courses or programs that talk to people crazy, that disrespect people in order to teach them.
Okay, so the disrespect,
it ain't about
I can
how
agree
I'm
to
talking to you niggas. It's about the message. No one is sending their kid there. No one is paying the course. Nobody is coming.
No.
Okay, so I get that you want to use a school. I get the disrespect. That minus the disrespect, but half of the time, or most of the time, it's not even disrespect. Most of the time, it's just we're being our tone may be a little bit amplified, but you understand what we're saying. These teachers in these schools, you don't even learn nothing there. What do you learn? How did all these years you've been going to school? It has taught you nothing about relationships.
Well,
if it has been doing the teaching, that's been certainly failing.
We're not comparing like school and relationships, because school is a place that you learn many topics and relationships is one topic. So that doesn't even like that doesn't correlate. There are different teachers for different subjects. Yes. And sometimes the gym teacher is different than the history teacher. The gym teacher may yell, like, come on, hustle up, let's go. Because that's a different environment. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
but
given
there's still a level of respect. They don't curse people out on the court. They don't, you know what I'm saying? Like in male professional sports is different than school.
That's why I in military too, all that stuff. So given all these variety of people that's speaking to you and delivering a message to you,
okay,
regardless of how it's coming off, you don't listen to understand. You listen to respond. So once we get to a certain level of heightened, amplified, aggressive way of speaking to you, you don't even listen to us no more. You're like, man, fuck it, why are you yelling at me? But we're telling you the truth though.
Yeah, but the truth doesn't matter. The truth doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't matter if it's not coming from somebody you trust and love. There's a way that my mom, my dad, my brother can talk to me. They can talk to me crazy. When they've critiqued me, sometimes it's been a little crazy, right? But I know that that's coming from someone that loves me, that cares about me, that wants the best for me. A stranger talking to me crazy and then telling me that, oh, I'm trying to teach you something. I'm trying to show you something. I'm trying to help you. What? Like, we can't act like it's the same. It's not. It's not.
So here's what's funny. So let's just use this scenario. Military. So if your sergeant came to you and said, hey, look, get your ass up your ass, you idiot, and get up that hill and get that ammo out there, or everybody's gonna fucking die. Instead of you going up the hill and saving everybody's life, you're mad because the delivery was so disrespectful.
Really? Again, that's comparable to professional sports. How they talk on the NFL, on the field, how they talk in the military. That's different, and that's usually amongst men.
No, you know what it is. You know where the anger and aggression come from. The anger and aggression comes from being under duress. We are a community under duress. Shit is hitting the fan. That's why we're talking with so much aggression, because we want to see this shit change.
Right, but again, orders, dying, life, death, that's totally different than if we're talking about
people out here dying.
When we're talking about relationships, we're talking about people's emotions, people's feelings, people's values, people's experiences.
We're talking about people's lives.
Not the same as we need to execute this plan so that we don't die. That's totally different. Obviously, if we're in a life or death situation, I don't give a fuck. No one gives a fuck about feelings. If we're talking about what you've been through with your ex-husband and why you feel this different way about men, that is completely different. And for you to think that you could talk to it the same, especially like in a military setting or in the NFL, it's a bunch of men. And then we're talking with women about their emotions and about relationships. For you to feel like that there doesn't need to be a difference
I'll let somebody
in the way
else comment.
you speak about it. I don't get it. I don't get that. That's all.
But then Kayla will be the first.
I'll land there.
But then we'll be the first people to say how different men and women are, but then expect to talk to women the exact same way that. Yeah, it doesn't make
And then
sense.
say, well, you're emotional. Women are emotional. And then when I say I don't like that the way that you're speaking to me, I'm as a woman, like that's hurting my feel, whatever. And it's just like, oh, you shouldn't care. Get out of your emotions. It's like you need to pick one. Am I an emotional soft being or am I not? What do you want? Am I supposed to start crying or am I supposed to respond? Like what do you want?
Are we going to sit here and say that? Are we going to sit here and say that all of the time the conversation is that amplified? Come on. It may just be very blunt at sometimes, but it's calm.
I mean, I think sometimes there are contradictions. Like some people want a woman to be very stoic, unemotional, logical, and just straight to the point, no emotions involved, which the same people would consider masculine qualities. So either you want a masculine woman based on the qualities that some of these people think are masculine. I don't subscribe to that because I think masculinity and femininity are much more of an abstract thing than nice and mean type of stuff. But like based on the talking points and the things that people say, it either means they want a woman that's masculine by their definition of masculine, or they don't think that those things are actually masculine and they think that they can apply to everyone, like being logical, being reasonable, being, whatever the case may be. And we've talked about this a few times on the show. Let's go to Mike first. You came in first. What's up, bro? We're going to go to Rob after that and then Marcus because we want to get y'all's opinions.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. What am I answering now?
So do you think, okay, let's recalibrate because I know we were kind of all over the place. Yeah. The question is, do Black women believe the Manosphere has been helpful in achieving the ultimate goal? And I'm not going to ask you to answer as a Black woman because obviously you're a Black man. So just to add to that, as a Black man, what do you think the ultimate goal of the Manosphere is?
The ultimate goal of the Manosphere is kind of in its name, right? To give men a place to congregate and share their feelings and views. That's it. That's my summation of what the Manosphere is. I think in its prominence, the reason it's become so big, so quick is because prior to, a lot of these platforms getting a lot of views and stuff, people never knew how Black men really felt. There is a narrative about us that was created, unfortunately, by Black women without our say-so and without our voice being heard. So now, and the proof of that is that most of, the narrative of what people thought has been disproven by pure fact. And then you hear the way men really feel. And now, men won't listen to bullshit. Men are logical and practical. So if people were in the Manosphere simply spewing hate that men didn't particularly agree with in a logical sense, we wouldn't listen and we wouldn't pack these rooms to talk about how we feel.
What's the narrative, Mike? What's the narrative that was created by
all Black men have multiple children by multiple baby mamas? We're broke. We don't have jobs. You
think Black women created and propagated those narratives and not white mainstream media?
I would say
all Black men cheat is like number one.
Exactly.
Wait, Mike.
You know what? Let me
who said that though?
Who
started that rhetoric about Black men cheating? Like who started all this rhetoric?
About Black men cheating?
Yeah, like all these things that you're saying, the cheating, the kids, blah, blah, blah. Who started this rhetoric where you feel that who do you think started
I believe it was, if I had to break it all the way down, bitter single baby mothers.
Yes, because the kids, we're getting it from the kids.
Single baby mothers.
Yes.
So really don't think
that are they lying?
Yes.
Is this narrative not true that those women that are single mothers that have baby daddies that don't take care of their kids, are they lying, or is that actually what's happening out here? Because I remember just a minute ago we said how 70% of us grew up without fathers in the home that were not there and taking care of their kids. So how can we now say that these mothers that are saying that these fathers are not taking care of their kids are lying?
Can I prove it to you?
Sure.
Okay, so like you said, 70% of all Black men and women alive today grew up with the guidance of primarily their mother. Grew up in a single mother-led home. But twice as many Black women have kids as Black men. So that means your decision is, well, not yours. You know, generally black women to sleep with a man who they already knew was not a capable father or had characteristics. That's what they've done. So again, more than half of black men in America are in the middle class. So we're not broke technically. All right. Then you have
middle class
half of the
household.
black men in the black community don't even have kids.
Mike, that middle class thing is based on household income, meaning everyone that lives there.
It is not. It is not.
It is. I've looked it up.
You know we've gone through this. We've
we
gone through this in the chat a bunch of times.
It's household income.
It's not household income. It's singular income.
Okay, can you send me it? Because maybe I'm wrong. Send it to me.
Remember, I sent you the subscript. In the subscript, they note when they are putting
wait. You're saying most black men are middle class. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
But when you first came on here, Bruiser asked you what was the median income of black men in America, and you said 42.7.
I said men.
That is not
men in America,
class.
not black men. I said men.
Oh, you said men in general.
Yeah.
No, well, what? But Mike answered black men. He said black men. He answered black men.
So generally, most men in America are making 42.7, but black men, the majority of them are making way more than that.
So the aggregate is different. So white men make around 53,000. Black men make 43,000.
Okay.
So yeah, that's
on average, the average black person, average white person.
And those are both middle class incomes, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, look, that's middle class income.
Okay, so quick test.
It must be like the number.
Hold on.
No, I'll let everybody else.
I think the question that
with 42,000 middle class being
Kayla,
middle class goes up to 150,000.
Kayla,
so
the question,
you're literally you're not middle class. You're not.
Kayla, the question I think that was asked was the average salary of working men, which is a different question than the average salary of a group of men in general, including the ones that are not working. So if you know what, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's where some of maybe these misunderstandings are coming in, because people are talking about different things. And I think in order to have the conversation properly, we have to kind of be on the same page. So I think, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, you said the average salary of a working black man is 42 point whatever thousand, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not the average salary of black men in general.
No. That is the average salary of black men.
Of black men or working
you
black
guys,
men?
I just
working
looked
black
it up.
men. Yeah.
Working black men, but a lot of black men don't work. So I'm saying
what black men are that?
If you factor in, I mean, Mike, whatever you want to think. I'm just saying, I'm just being objective. If we think of all black, hold on. If we think of all black men, that includes black men that are not working.
Yeah,
right?
I would think they would be factored into that aggregate. Yeah.
But you just said working black men. So which is it? I'm just trying to make sure we're on the same page.
If I'm pretty sure that a man that isn't working is homeless or a veteran. In fact, I think
the people comfortable at home on unemployment right now. What are you talking about?
I mean,
there's plenty of people sitting in their apartment right now watching this show, and they on unemployment. They are not homeless.
All right, I'm gonna get you the averages.
Sitting in some woman's house, or sitting in their parents' house, or sitting wherever.
There's somebody's
the salary
house
of working men.
Well, I just looked up the Pew classification, and middle class is 43.3 to 130. So again, like I said, 43.3, you are barely middle. You're not really middle. After tax, bro, you are not middle class. So
and what did you say?
This whole most black men are middle class thing.
Okay, so when has that research been done?
This was from, let me get the year.
Because if it's this year, that means inflation.
This was 2020.
For inflation.
Just last month. July.
You said last month?
2020. July 2020.
Okay. So new numbers need to come out because of inflation. So if you take the inflation in there, the middle class jumped up, or the middle class number or bar jumped up, salaries jumped up as well.
I don't buy any of that. Like I said, you're not middle class. After tax, you're really only making like 36. Stop the cap.
This is
not middle class.
Black people in general are not out here making that much money on average. in general. That goes for men, women, whoever.
Yeah,
And we
black
have
women's
to
salary
do,
is
I think
$37,000.
we have
Okay.
to do better. And putting out this narrative that, oh, most black men are okay, I don't think it's helpful. Plenty of black men are doing well, great. Plenty are in the middle class, fine. But just saying it like we've done the work, we're mostly middle class, I think that's a misrepresentation of what's actually going on. Because if you're only counting people that are working, when we all know plenty of people are not working, and many of our neighborhoods are in shambles, and plenty of people are unemployed, just going on and on about a very specific group, I think it's misinforming people. Because some people hear what you're saying, Mike, because I think you might know what you're talking about on your end. But if you say something like that, people, start thinking certain things that are incorrect. And just like earlier, you said something like black women have kids at like twice the rate
Twice as
of
many
black
kids
men,
as black men.
something
Yes.
like that.
Twice
Like,
as many black women have children.
I would just like to know, and you don't have to do it now. I mean, you could message me on Facebook, you could message it here, but I would just like to see where you got these data points from, just for my own, because I've heard this before.
Easily researchable.
And then I also just want to highlight the fact that
what you read. But yeah, the thing is, when we're talking about black men or white men or any type of black women, white, anybody, we cannot try to conflate all people in a group with working people from that group. That's two totally different things.
Yeah. So you want a multivariate analysis of all of those people. I get that. But on the alternate side, you're also saying, well, we can't act like black men are doing that well. The average white man makes $52,000 a year, 53. So that's $10,000 more dollars than the average black man. So really what you're saying, and ultimately saying is no one that's doing average for themselves is doing well. That's the American standard. Everybody's basically living paycheck to paycheck.
Do you know that the way that
wait, hold on, Kay. With that being said, back to our question about what was your question about? Do we think the manosphere is useful, or is
no? She was asking you was asking where the narrative came from about black men not being this and that.
Original question of asking Mike.
I was asking him what was the point? Like, what is
the point of the manosphere? When we look at one of the manosphere's like number one tropes, which is, women need to stay at home. Women need to not be working, right? Women need to stop trying to get degrees and stop trying to get better jobs and stop trying to do all of that. I'm just kind of confused on how that can be the narrative of a manosphere where 90% of the people in that group cannot support a wife fully on their income alone.
So where did you hear this?
Push this narrative that they're upset that you are working and you are making money when the only reason, the number one way that black men achieve wealth is through marriage.
So may I respond? I believe that's a false narrative. Every single person in the manosphere that pushes that, I believe that a man should stay home. I don't know one person making any amount of money. All right, I know a bunch of 1%ers in my frat. Otherwise, not one person has ever said they want their wife to stay home. That is a narrative of the 1%, and that is also indicative of how people attack the manosphere. You take the ideologies of the 1% and you apply it to all of us. I ain't never said that shit.
But Mike, that's what a lot of people
listen, I have said it, but she took it out of context.
But a lot of people say that, like, and I'm not saying
taking it out of context.
So many of these
people have that talking point.
You don't worry about your man, not worried about getting a promotion.
Taking it out of context.
This is what I believe the average man is saying.
Okay.
In our community, we have women that are lazy on one end and feel like they don't need to do both. Any woman that is middle class, especially in her man, because I'm married, all right? I push marriage for wealth creation reasons. The caveat is that I will not marry a woman that thinks her career is more important than our household. If you cannot do both, you need not be married. Our women are pretending as if work is more important than the household. That's how our children suffer. That's how your husband suffers, and ultimately how you end up unhappy. I've never heard a middle-class man say in this generation that they did not want to work. They want her to be as dedicated as she is to that white boss, to this household, and what needs to be done inside of it. That's it.
So,
See,
with that being but that is a modern woman, though. Doing both is being a modern woman.
They do not do both.
But are you a modern man? Meaning you have to do both as well. Women, we are not super women. We cannot do everything. We can't work all day and do everything housewives do. You can't just go to work and go to the gym. You have to come and help. You have to be a modern man.
You just proved my point a little bit. Just a little bit. That's another false narrative that men don't help. Who are y'all talking to? So look at it this way. Okay, Kayla, look at it this way. Wife is a nurse, husband works at home. Okay. When I go take my children to daycare, I promise you, this is not a false statistic. Half dads dropping off their kids in the morning because the wife goes to work first. Men just don't talk, or we're not sitting here beating our heads about how bad our day was. We help all the time. We have
People
always
aren't
been
beating their heads about how bad their day was, but there's an entire manosphere that you just said was about people having a safe space to kind of air their.
No, I'm talking about men don't like. We're not going out to the public crying about these things. We look at it as a duty. That's what I'm saying. We help in our home in a dutiful sense. Whatever needs to be done in my home is what I do.
Okay.
So, Mike,
but Mike, a lot of the stuff you're saying is not the biggest points of the manosphere that's pushed. That's all I'm saying. Because I agree with a lot of the stuff that you're saying.
1%.
I'm with you. You help. I could do everything. If you we could that works. It's just that this whole narrative that there's other narratives in the manosphere that get exasperated, that get more attention, that aren't that.
You're right. So you know what I like in that too, like the Andrew Tates and the Kevin Samuels of the world. They're just like rappers to the manosphere. They're talking a bunch of fly shit, like they're Kanye and Jay-Z. They're talking a bunch of fly shit that doesn't apply to the 99 cent worth of men, but we love to hear them talk that shit. That's all it is. You don't hear the 99% talking that shit.
Mike, you what you said earlier, like, you know, your basic premise that you've been talking about just now, I don't disagree with. I think that a lot of people do try to apply things that don't apply to them, right? You're trying to like, oh, women should do this, or I want a man to do this or that, when you're not necessarily part of a group that can be in that situation easily. Let me say it like that. So
inspiration.
As you're talking about it though, Mike, and while you and Kayla were talking, I was just thinking, like, that's not only a woman issue. Like, a lot of regular average men in these spaces do a lot of talking about what women should do in terms of traditional and all this, but like Kayla said, they're not in that percentage of people that you were talking about. So hold on, Bruiser. Just like rap, and I thought that was a good analogy, Mike. Just like rap, a regular person with 2 parents that love them and that's never seen a struggle in their life might listen to some songs and think it's cool to be a certain way, right? The same thing happens in these spaces. People who either have, they were raised by their hardworking single mom, or they have a woman that works and they both work together, or whatever the case may be. But then they get in these spaces and they're like, no, women need to be doing this and men need to be doing that, when that's not even applicable at all to their lives. And I think that's where the problems come in.
So I think we have
nobody is going to argue if Jeff Bezos says he wants a woman that just sits at home and just, whatever. Nobody's going to say anything. But if you're a person that just, does certain things or is a certain way or spends 20 hours on Facebook a day being mad at people's wigs and makeup and stuff, like, people are going to
be like, what the hell are you doing?
It's not going to be taken the same way.
Well, y'all taking it out of context. It's not about where you want to be at. It's about your family and your legacy. The whole point is that. And we're trying, and these guys are saying, we desire these type of women. And then other guys are on the other side of the conversation. Well, if you desire this type of woman, these are the things that you need to do to be able to have this type of woman.
Then why are so many
why
of
we have these manosphere, these spaces?
Why are so many?
Is that the majority of the manosphere though, Bruiser? Is it the? I mean, every now and again, Anton will get on a soapbox, and there's other people, Mr. Let Go, that will get on their box and like hold men accountable and tell men, listen, you need to be better. If you want this out of women, you need to get on your shit. But that is not what the manosphere is known for.
Yes,
that is not what it's known for.
That is the whole reason why we come together, so we can set each other straight.
But that message is lost. It's lost in these baby mamas, these women masculine, these women work too much, these the complaints.
Well, we have to answer. We have to answer that. We have to answer. Guys are asking, why is this woman acting like that? Why is a woman putting her career first and her marriage last? Why is a woman wanting to be on an equal playing field as a man? Why is a woman having all these masculine energy and all that stuff? You have to answer that. There's an answer for it.
Most households where couples are together, whether they're married or living together or whatever, have two working partners. That's just the truth.
In all of America, yeah.
That's just the truth. So like these talking points about certain things sometimes just don't make sense in certain,
what doesn't make sense.
And just in terms of us as Black people, like people want to do stuff for show, but we should really be thinking about the future. There needs to be as much income as possible. There needs to be as much set up for children and grandchildren as possible. And if that means both people are working, both people need to be working.
What are people doing for show? What are you talking about?
I think sometimes people just want a talking point to stand behind. And it's not necessarily the most beneficial for what's going on. Let's say a man is making, let's say there's a man making 100,000 a year. He could have his wife stay home. He could, they could even have kids, and people live on less than that all the time, full families. So someone could do that, fine. But how much more, I guess, stability, or how many more opportunities in terms of like the future and investing and savings and college funds and all this could there be if that wife was even bringing in 50K? Like, so now you have a household with two people and 150K versus 100K because somebody wants their ego to feel a certain way. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I think couples should do what's best for them.
But see, there you go. You're taking it out of context. Who said this woman couldn't be at home and have her own business?
Yep.
Most business, like, come on.
Okay, so now we got see how you moving the goalposts?
No, I'm not moving the goalposts. I'm not moving the goalposts.
Never stayed home. Like, by and large, Black women have always assisted, always, whether it was working in the church. Okay, most
women have always.
So
women
it's like,
have
why
always.
are we pushing a false narrative that Black men want women to stay home? Black men have never had the ability to afford their woman staying home by and large.
That's the thing.
So
I agree with you.
It's a false narrative. And this is why I believe I wanted to respond to what Kayla said about what she said. We have a problem with our Black women with overindulgence. Okay, you want to overindulge in everything that is not conducive to a prosperous relationship, and you want to overindulge too long. That's why that bullshit about wait till you're 30 was so prominent, and just do what you want to do, have fun, girl, go through your whole phase and all the vacations. Black men don't want a woman like that to marry. You know why? By the time we're 30, we're ready to move on. We're about to start our financial peak. We've solidified a good paying job, and we're on the way to financial prominence at that point. And we would like a woman who understands. This is the difference between what you're saying and what we believe we deserve. This is something I always say to everybody. I say, a man better marry right before he meet his homeboy wife that act right. If you meet a woman, whether it's like, in your same ethnic group, another ethnic group, you realize that she is uniquely feminine. She's able to do both. She's able to go to work and dedicate herself also to that household. Because y'all acting like it's impossible. Literally, most of the women in the world do it every day.
Exactly. I agree with that.
All right.
No, but they're saying, according to the video, they're saying they're tired.
Exactly. Forget that. They're not. Look. You're not tired.
They are tired.
I'm sorry. Not even that. You're not
hold
tired.
on, Bruiser. Hold on, Mike, real quick. We want to make sure that we can get Marcus and Tay in, and then we'll keep going with this same conversation. Marcus, thank you, Marcus and Tay, for your patience. Marcus, what are your thoughts? And then Tay, you're going to go next.
Thank you for having me on first. I was out fishing, so I had to catch the show. I don't like to miss Kate and Kayla on Mondays. I've been listening to the Manosphere for about 6-7 years. A lot of the stuff that Bruiser and Mike are saying are both lies. Before y'all get on my neck, I'm not trying to separate anything. I just want to say this. The Manosphere doesn't preach marriage. I don't know what they're talking about how the Manosphere is this and that. It depends on the type of Manosphere you're talking about. Like, you have these new guys like Anton on Lapeef Network. He preaches marriage, but they're not Manosphere. Like, the original Manosphere guys, they preach that free agent stuff, the whole, what they call it, the pump and dump thing. That's what they were trying to preach to men. And be careful about the women that you deal with and things like that. They were not preaching marriage. That's the newer Manosphere stuff. But when you said, the question is, do black women believe that the Manosphere helpful? Well, as Mike said, the Manosphere was never invented to help women. It was to help men. Because, Kay, I want to ask you a question. Let's say you said Fresh and Fit, their ideas and how they talk and things. Who do you think men should listen to in the mainstream news that appeals to young men then?
I think men should listen to their fathers and their uncles and their grandpas and people that are around them that have a vested interest in them, that care about them and love them. If they do not have any of those people, because some people don't, then they need to find professionals that can help them through that situation. There are many psychologists, therapists, counselors, psychiatrists, all types of people that can assist. I would never recommend that somebody who's out here lost in the world, no matter what gender they are, go on to a YouTube platform of people giving their opinions about things that aren't being objective to figure out life. I would never suggest that to anyone. Now, entertainment, cool. Maybe you learn something here and there, cool. But to send someone, like, let's say a young man, maybe in his early 20s, he's like, I have no male figures in my life and I don't know what to do. I would never be like, go watch Fresh and Fit.
Well,
I mean,
do you think so?
There are too many people that can help. There are mentors. There are all types of people that would be willing to get involved with, like, and have an actual, like, interest in that person individually.
So what's the reason why you wouldn't send them to Fresh and Fit?
Because I just don't think that, in my opinion, this is my opinion, because I don't even want
your opinion. Okay, yeah.
It's my opinion. I'm not saying, clearly it's not factual or not. It's my opinion. I've done no research on this, but like, I wouldn't send them to any podcast unless it was being conducted by an actual professional in the field of whatever this person is suffering from. Let's say they have trauma from childhood, or let's say they have abandonment issues. Maybe they could watch like a PhD that specializes in these things, or someone who's being more objective, and maybe even just giving them some game, even that. But I wouldn't say that it's best practice to send people who are already jaded into spaces where people are also jaded and are going to feed into that their emotional.
When you talk to PhDs and people like that and send to professionals, they're going to talk to you from an anecdotal point of view.
No, they're not. That's the literal.
These people want to talk. These people want to talk. These people want to hear it from people that look like them, that act like them, that go to places, go to the gym, go to the barbershop, the same places they go with, and they want to talk to those people.
That's the literal difference. When you're talking,
hold on. But so, what makes you a professional?
Bruiser.
I've been married. I've been in a relationship for 8 years. I'm not a professional at what I do. I gotta go get somebody else at an academic institution to certify my profession.
Bruiser,
I don't buy it.
You personally, like you as a man, if somebody, let's say that you knew, a young man in his early 20s, late teens or whatever, 19 years old, 20 years old, whatever. And I wouldn't be mad if he went to you for guidance, you, Bruiser, but you're not.
And that's why I have a show.
Exactly. Go ahead and plug your show, because I think you should, because you are a person who I've talked to before. I know some things about you, so I'm not going to say like, oh, they shouldn't listen to you. I'm saying in terms of just podcasts and trying to get the best for people, I don't think it's best practice to send people to very biased spaces that feed into their own anger, trauma, and insecurities. It doesn't seem like the right thing to do. Just like a woman, this is not just one-sided. Just like women, let's say a woman was done wrong by a bunch of men and she mad. I wouldn't say she should go on to some of these like anti-man platforms for inspiration. Like I wouldn't.
But making a comparison of an anti-man suggested that we're sending them to an anti-woman platform, in which we're not. And you're saying that you would suggest to send them there. So what would okay? So what would you?
What did you say? I didn't hear that.
So you said today these manosphere platforms is toxic for sending these men to, right? Basically, that's what you're trying to say.
I said that this is what I said. I said it wouldn't be best practice to send someone who is suffering from trauma to a place that is going to feed into it and maybe even exacerbate it, like in a certain type of way. I don't think that's best practice. Now, if you would send your son to Fresh and Fit, then you can do that. That's your son.
So now that you put this identifier of somebody suffering for trauma, then you're making the situation a little bit more sensitive now.
The reason why I said suffer from trauma is because the situation had to do with a man that had no male figures around. If you're a man and there is not one man that you can trust,
it's not necessary to say that, because the majority of the men that had no, to y'all statistics, the majority of the men had no male figure around. So it goes without saying. So there's no need to say, oh, a guy suffering from traumatic experiences or history, we sending him to a biased podcast.
Bruce, you know what she's missing here when she had asked you about like the podcast stuff? If you look at mainstream news, they mostly attack the male perspective. So the podcast is where men go to get, a lot of that male perspective. That's why Joe Rogan got popular. He speaks to that male perspective. You had said earlier about, they're very biased on these podcasts. You don't think Oprah Winfrey was biased when she made that documentary about Michael Jackson?
I'm sure Oprah was biased about certain things. People always bring up Oprah. I mean, during the last Oprah episode that was aired, I was a kid. So I know who Oprah is, obviously, but we weren't on social media doing all this talking about these things during the Oprah era, the same as we are right now. So if talk about Oprah, I get it. Oprah, people can have their opinions about her, but if Oprah is the example you want to use, I don't think it's as...
I'm using her I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm using her as an example because she made a documentary embarrassing Michael Jackson when he had already passed away. It was completely unnecessary. Did he ever get to tell his side? Did he ever get to defend himself? You see how that kind of embarrasses a black male icon? Michael Jackson is a black male icon.
So do you think that, based on what you're saying about that, do you think that gives that opens up that makes it okay for other people to do biased things? I'm just trying to see what your point is.
That's not like, but see, someone does people to something that work. Let's not act like 5 years ago everything was working. All the professions or professional podcasts or information that we were sending kids to was working. It wasn't working. Things are getting worse. It wasn't working. So now that's not act like what we've been doing 5 years ago was working, and now what we're doing is not working.
Marcus, if someone does something that you don't think is okay, like being biased, like the Oprah thing that you were just talking about, like if that's your opinion about that, what does that have to do? Are you saying that someone doing something that you consider wrong justifies other people doing something wrong?
No, you're partially correct. What I'm saying is that these people that were putting these views out about black men were never challenged in the mainstream media. So as Mike was saying, these views became popular. Like Wendy Williams, she spent her career talking negative about black folks.
Do you think, Marcus, because I asked Trigger Mike this, but I don't know if he answered it. But do you think, Marcus, that most of the negative stereotypes, the narratives about black men that are put out into the world are done, that's done by Black women, or do you think that that's done by white men?
I wouldn't say it's done mostly by Black women because they don't really control mainstream media like that. I would say it's mostly done, but I can't really verify who or
Like, who do
what
you think
demographic.
who do you think signs Oprah's checks?
I don't know. I ain't her producer. I don't
I'm
know.
just saying. I mean, that's more so.
Listen, I get the fact that y'all trying to target where it comes from as far as mainstream media, but that's not act like there's a media, a person to person media where you get information and we can see where that's coming from, and we don't need to go to the internet or TV to see where it's coming from. We can just see where it's coming from amongst the conversations we're having and amongst each other in various places. So that's not act like that's where it's coming. The narrative is way before television.
Right.
Like
Or
we
internet,
saying now,
the narratives
Black
are
males,
not,
like Kate, I'm sorry.
This is the problem with some of these talking points. And this is why I don't really mess with it like that, because you can always tell who watches what because they have the same few talking points with no actual information to back it up. It doesn't seem to be critically thought through, because if we're thinking about it, Black women are not the ones running most major media. They're not running any major media distribution companies like that. Black women are not the ones. Even if a Black woman is the face of something, they are not the ones orchestrating that. And people will do anything for a check. A lot of people will. But
let me tell you where the narrative is coming from.
Even with Mike's analogy about rap earlier, there are plenty of rappers, let's say even Black male rappers specifically, plenty. But there's a reason why specific types of rap are on the radio versus others. And it's not just because, we don't buy that. People don't even know about that because these people are dropping off their mixtape and it's getting thrown in the trash so they can put the one that they want to push the message of, which might be banging, drug dealing, whatever the case may be. And if anybody can't see that.
So do you know why people buy those records? Because I love this particular argument. It's because the people who consume it make it popular. So Black women have so that's why what you just said was Black women get paid by white men to say all of this. If they said no, there would be no negative narrative about anybody in our community.
People who consume it make it popular.
Other women consume it and put it out in the mainstream. And that's how this happened.
Who mostly consumes hip hop? Who mostly buys it?
What?
Who mostly buys hip hop music?
White people.
Okay, so they're the ones making it popular, right, Mike?
Well, there's more white people in America, so that's kind of
hold on, Mike. Based on your argument, based on what you just said, and I asked that clarifying question just to see. So, if white people are the ones, how are you blaming Black women?
Come on, are we going to have this conversation?
From propagating a culture about the men that are the fathers of your children. That's a complete.
Wait, can you repeat that?
But if they're telling the truth, then what?
I'm sorry, say again.
If they are telling the truth, what is the problem with them telling their truth?
It is not
clearly that it's truth.
So are you aware that more than half of the Black men in this country do not have children? So how can and twice as many Black women have children as Black men?
So I'm not talking about obviously the if I was childless and they was talking shit about Black women with children, why would I be offended?
So women.
So if you're a man that doesn't have kids, why would you be offended by baby mamas talking junk about fathers that aren't in their kids' lives? If you don't have any kids at all, why would you care? So obviously we're not talking about the fatherless kids.
Mike, do you believe that 16% of Black men father 80%? Do you believe that talking point? I've heard it a lot.
I tried to calculate that statistic myself.
Do you believe it?
Too hard. No, it's not 16%.
So you don't believe it?
It is actually it's not far off, but no, I don't believe it's 16%. It's a little higher than that.
A little higher, like what?
I got every time I calculated, I got between 25 and 30%.
So you think that for every 100 children, 80 of them have the same 20 something dads?
I don't think that's how you parse out that data to 80 out of.
Well, that's
maybe-
neither here nor there. I think my
You think
question is that you guys are saying in terms of like what the media is portraying,
Mhm.
but the numbers. When we look at the numbers and we look at what the media is portraying, does it not make sense?
Kayla, can I ask you a
No.
question about what you said about the media?
Of the fathers are horrible or whatever. If that's
okay.
the majority of the
that's
issue
the
in the
point that I
community,
missed out.
would that
That's
not
the point.
reflect why there's more media that talks about those kind of stories versus the media that
it's
talks
a false
the
narrative
Cosby
and one
shows,
that
and
sells.
there's less of those shows because there's less of those families.
It's one
People
that
don't
sells.
believe
So how can
anything.
black men be so terrible, but also be named by the CDC as the best fathers in America?
I've never
how
said
are
black
those
men
two
are.
things true at the
I
same
don't
time?
believe that. I have amazing black men in my life that are amazing. So I don't believe that all black men are terrible. I
How
just
can
think
those
that
two things be true at the same time?
when we start getting into a space where we're congregating and talking about the negative things that black women are dealing with or are, when at least 75% of those are in response to something that a man has done to them, yet
That's
we sit
not
around
fair.
and we have
Yes.
negative conversations
And you're
about them, but we
absolutely
don't
right.
like to
So
take
72%,
any accountability for the male contribution to those
exactly
issues.
72% unwed mother rate in the black community. Now
Right.
go and look at how many of those women.
Of those women, majority of them did not have fathers in the household to steer them in the right direction. But we don't spend any time talking about those men that are currently grown.
Yeah.
They're grown.
But
Not the new fathers, because we've seen the numbers on the new fathers. These young fathers out here is getting it. They in their kids' lives, they helping in the household. All the numbers have shown how that is getting better. But that doesn't negate the black women that you're talking to that are 40 that didn't have that.
There was somebody that was speaking to them.
Who?
Kevin Samuels. And look at the negative response he got when he passed away.
So
the sad thing about that, he wasn't even being aggressive and loud.
He wasn't.
Sports. What do you call it? Sports talk. He wasn't even doing it. He was just calm.
And Kayla, to what Bruiser was saying, the negative response that Kevin Samuels got, not just from black women, but black folks in general in his death, shows you that a lot of folks are not willing to change. But we praise rappers, even though they sell drugs in our own communities. You know, a lot of them are legends when they die. But Kevin Samuels, it's karma. That's why the manosphere is where it is today. Black males, white males, they have to run to somebody who's appealing to them, because you saw the negative response that Kevin Samuels got.
Right.
And he passed away.
Yeah. And I don't support that. I don't support talking anything bad about someone that has passed on. I don't agree with that. But I do think that Kevin Samuels should be he should be an example to the manosphere and the people in the manosphere for how they should conduct themselves. Because I've seen Kevin do a couple of different things that have been very productive. Right. But this is America. And salaciism is America. So they're going to take that time where he's telling the girl she ain't shit, she going to die alone with a dog. And that's what's going to be his representation of himself. We can say, oh, that's true, whatever. But that's what he's remembered for, because that shit was egregious.
That's
versus
actually
all
not
the
even
other
what
times
he's
when he's
remembered
talking
for.
about family.
I don't think that's what he's
talking about
remembered for. That's probably one of the funniest things he said.
He's
those are
remembered.
the things that are going to be
So-
highlighted. So you have to know that is why the negative things are what the manosphere is known for, versus all of those good talking points you guys say, you know, that Anton says and that different men say about, you know, supporting marriage and being there for your, even stuff I've heard Bruiser speaking on it, and supporting your wife and being emotionally available, all those things. People don't know the manosphere for those things. Just like people don't know Kevin for all of those good stuff that he has done. They only
Well,
know
don't you
it for
think-
the salacious, negative, disrespectful stuff.
Well, don't you think when people refer to, when people refer to that feminist rhetoric that took place in the 70s and things,
Okay.
women were able to divorce men that they didn't like. But feminism is known for a lot of the negative things that it caused
That's
as well.
true too. Yeah,
Don't you think that the manosphere helps young males live in a society that doesn't appeal to them, doesn't respect them? Because once again, I asked Kay when we first got on, rather than the professional thing you said, who should they appeal to in mainstream media? Because women have role models, whether they're good or bad, they have them. Males don't have them.
I'll give you
So
one.
who?
Straight off the top. Eric Thomas. Straight off the top.
I don't know why it's
Wake up in the morning, put on the podcast or put on his video. If we're talking about learning about, I ain't say nothing about, okay. See, I don't think that I do think that men need to talk about relationships and things like that. But I think when men prioritize like positive male leadership, some things will just fall in line. So instead of sitting around talking about women all day, go put on ET and start talking about how to progress yourself as a man, how to learn discipline, how to keep your composure, how to grow your businesses or be great at whatever it is that you do to be a better man, to be a better leader. And then a lot of things in the community will naturally fall into place. Because men are doing what they need to do versus being.
Don't work like that. That's blue pill.
Naturally, you're
that
gonna
are running
like
around
DT.
out here that don't know what they're doing.
You're gonna like him because he doesn't talk about women at all. So
he doesn't.
So that's why you like him. But here's the reason why men come to the Manosphere.
He talks to men about how to be men.
Here's the reason
he doesn't complain about women should be doing this and women should be doing that.
We said that most black men don't have father figures in their lives, and yes, I agree with you. Men shouldn't be looking at this like as some kind of therapy, right? But people push therapy too much. It's clinical based and they can't tell you the real. Us coming to the Manosphere is like looking, well, I don't need it. You know, I had a father, but it's like looking for a big brother to talk to you.
Exactly.
And you want all of what they have to say because y'all don't trust us to make up our mind for ourselves. Y'all think, but because the funny thing about it, when men congregate and we start talking about what's important to us, they are teaching us respect for ourselves. If you eat, they not telling us F that bitch. They're not saying shit like that. They saying respect yourself and she'll fall in line. So that's the education men need to get first. So I get what you're saying, but everybody can't be Anton Daniels with a white Benz. We're talking about average men that just need to start their life by respecting themselves and not taking shit off no woman.
So Mike,
in the Manosphere.
Mike, I know that, I know you didn't bring up Oprah. I know Marcus did, but just listening to what you just said, I have actually 2 questions for you because I'm going to go soon. Just listening to what you just said, do you have a problem with like the Oprah of yesteryear, you know, having a following of women based on that exact same concept that you just
do I have a problem with Oprah? No.
Okay, so
your head for many black girls to, you know, they needed
okay, so you view it kind of
in my
do you view it the same way?
Now I do. Now I do. Present day I do.
And because that's what I was wondering.
When you look at her narratives and the shows that she puts out and everything, and right now, this is a funny part about it.
Wait,
after
who we talking
Gail
about?
took her ass whooping by Snoop Dogg after Nipsey Hussle's death, she's changed her whole narrative around. That's when Black Love came out, and she wants to.
Yeah, I had a lot of issues with Oprah back. Before.
So now she's changing the narrative of her network, but she realized she's pushed and propagandized way too many things against the black man.
Kayla, don't say anything about Oprah.
I was gonna say, can we move away from Oprah? Because there's I cannot actually legally I cannot even speak about her. I need a
So Mike, the other question I was gonna ask before I get
Oprah owns own.
She does own, and I'm an own talent. So we cannot talk about own in any negative way.
Mike, you said a few times, Mike, that most black men don't have children. So let's say by the age of 40, do you think most black men don't have children?
No, by age of 40, I think 3 so close. It's like 2.7 to 3 out of black men have children by age of 40.
2.7 to 3.
I believe I've seen the statistic, but yeah, black men and women, 3 out of 4 of them have children by 30.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, by 40.
By 40. By 40. So most black men by the age of 40 have children.
Yes.
We don't get these numbers.
I mean, 40's getting up there. How long you gonna wait?
That's from the U.S.
Isn't that the way it should be?
I was gonna say, people in general. So Hispanics and Asian men actually beat black men in having children by age 40. But pretty much most of everybody is going to have one kid by 40.
So when you say most black women don't have kids, who are you talking about?
20 something. So black women lead in unwed births at age 20, age 30, and age 40.
I'm not talking about anything about a marriage. I'm talking about just when you say most black men don't have children. Which group of black men are you talking about?
Young professional right out of college.
Do young
Or
professional,
let's
are
say
you,
college. Let's say college to 28 years old.
so you're
College
saying
age to 28 years old.
young professional out of college to 28. Did
Yeah.
you compare that same group of black women, or are you you're putting two
No,
different
that same
together?
group. That same group. So black women lead in the number of unwed births before 20 years old and 30 years old. So
But
in that group
you
of time, twice
specified,
as many women will have children as black men.
but
So
you can wait, hold on, Kayla, real quick, because I'm about to go. You cannot specify, Mike,
Mhm.
college educated, fresh out of college till the age of 28 when it comes to the men. And
I
then
said
just,
college age, not even that they went to college at all.
you
So
said
you're
fresh out
saying,
of
he's
college.
saying 18 to 26.
Let's say, yeah, exactly. Let's say 18
Because
to
you get off
26.
your parents' insurance when you turn 26. So that's when shit get real. Okay.
He
So
said fresh
before
out of
then,
college.
you still trying to figure it out.
But okay. You said fresh out of college. And Mike, sometimes I think that because I agree with you with a lot of the things you say, but sometimes the things that I'm just like, what's going on? I think sometimes you conflate two things that aren't related, like two totally different groups of people, like working black men versus the entire population of black men. Those are two different conversations. And that's why I just always ask you what you meant. But it's no disrespect or anything like that. I like to know where the argument is going and what it's doing.
I just wanted to know, because I know like you want to trigger Mike in your unwed, whatever the case may be, right? I have, we say college educated. So I'm talking about college educated people that I know that did have children prior to, I guess now we're 30, that are with those people, and maybe they're just now getting married to those people that they had kids with. So when people do the numbers, do they do the numbers on people that are together and living like married people, even though they haven't? Because there's no record for you to know. Versus obviously, if you have a wedding certificate, we can go and look up the number of people that are married. But there's a lot of black households in the black community are together, families, kids that are just not legally married. So when people throw out those, black women are unwed. Okay, I know a lot of unwed people that are very much looking like it's wet over there. They just never got married. They live in the same house together. They pay bills together. They raise kids together, but they don't have that piece of paper. So when people throw out those statistics, I just want us to take into consideration the number of people that that have a boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, fiance, whatever, and kids, and aren't married but still live in have a two-parent situation going on. Because I don't think the numbers are accurate when you factor that into the situation.
I haven't seen the numbers for that in a little bit, maybe I'll say a year. The reason why they don't use those numbers at all, because the success rate of those people actually getting married and staying in the same household without having to split W-2s is very low. So that's how they know when you go under one address.
So you're saying they eventually break up and they don't
eventually break up. That's
right,
why
but 1 and 2 weddings are gonna be divorced anyway. So is it that like different? If you're saying like 1 and 2 relationships with people moving together ain't gonna work, 1 and 2 marriages don't work either.
Well,
so
I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm guessing it's less than 1 and 2. It's less than 50% that will stay together if they were never married.
Okay, okay. Well, just kind of moving into the last topic, because we were supposed to before Kay left because she had a hard out, and our show has a hard end tonight. But I'm just going to go ahead and play the audio, and then we'll get into our final topic, which you guys have found out that is the manosphere a breeding ground for toxicity? And what do y'all think about Meta and everybody banning Andrew Tate? Let's listen to the audio. Can't watch it, we can't do that, but we'll listen to it and what surfaced and what catapulted his banning.
I beat you when you don't do as I say. I didn't say the word listen.
But if it's answering when I don't listen.
That's all I can say is I said when I said tell the camera I beat you when you don't do as I say. I didn't say the word listen. Did I say the word listen? Did I say the word listen? Stupid bitch. I didn't say the word listen. Did I say listen? Did I say listen? Look at the camera. Did I say listen? No. Did I say listen to you? Did I say it? No. Did I say it? Look at the camera. This is what happens if you don't listen. Look at the camera. Why are you getting hit? Why are you getting beaten? You don't listen. You. Do as I say.
Okay, so that video is also very graphic. Can't show that, but I mean, some people were saying it was giving BDSM. Not that many people were saying that. Most people were saying it was giving could be a lunatic. So do you guys think the manosphere, when it comes to people like Mr. Tate, and his rhetoric, because his rhetoric is very specific. Do you guys think that kind of stuff is a breeding ground for toxicity? Because it can be a fine line.
Hey, Mike, can I say this before you go?
Yeah.
Before y'all go, I want to say, because we live in America, we have the First Amendment. We should never support censorship in any form anyway. So no matter how bad his rhetoric is, we live in America. He should be allowed to say whatever he wants to say. You know, we shouldn't support censorship, because when they start censoring the bad folks, everybody's okay with it. But when they start censoring the good folks, that's when everybody's going to start, getting upset. So we live in America. We should be allowed to have any view we want. Now, Mike, you can go ahead and do your thing.
Wait, before Mike, Marcus, you can.
No, I'm saying he got banned. So that means he got censored.
No, he didn't get censored. YouTube and Meta are private corporations. They have rules. He can make a website and post his videos there, and y'all can go watch it over there. He's not banned. He still has his freedom of speech. But when you're going to be in a communal place, there are rules. They are private business. This YouTube is a private corporation. They have their rules. It's not about freedom of speech. You can have your freedom of speech on you can create your own Instagram app. You can get your own website. You can get your own whatever you want, and you can say whatever you want. But like I said, this is a private corporation.
Oh, I'm not saying, I'm just saying I don't support censorship, and I don't think any Americans should support that whatsoever, private corporation or no. I understand what you're saying about their rules and anything, but the fact that he was censored, that's anti-First Amendment, and we just shouldn't support shit like that. That's all.
It's not anti-First Amendment. Again, no one censored him. He didn't comply with the rules on the application that he was utilizing per his behavior, not what he said. His behavior.
So when did this video surface?
Showing abuse. His behavior, not what he said. I didn't hear them say anything.
When did this take place? This domestic violence.
He said in the video. He had an issue with his behavior in that video. So again, if he comes out with a website, andrewtate.com, I'm sure y'all can go over there and watch. He has not been sent. His First Amendment rights have not been violated.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's a difference between a First Amendment right and you putting your hands on somebody. Like when you start putting your hands on people, that whole First Amendment thing that goes out the window. You know, if you can't have a conversation with somebody without putting your hands on them, then you don't need to be on the platform. You need some help. You need help when you can't sit up there and have a conversation with somebody without putting your hands on them.
Everybody mute. Sorry, go ahead. Let me just mute go ahead. Let me just mute everybody because we couldn't hear you. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just saying, there's a difference between a First Amendment right and you putting your hands on people. Like when you start putting your hands on people, that's a little bit different. And I haven't seen the video, but from what it sounded like he was putting his hands on somebody because he was saying, well, that's where you're getting hit. That's why you're getting hit right now. Like, no, like that's not covered under any amendment. Like you don't need to be out here. If he wants to put his hands on somebody, he needs to get back in the ring and do it there. He don't need to be just out here just putting his hands on people just because they said something that he don't like. Yeah. Like that's not the same thing.
Yeah, but we can't act like the censorship of Andrew Tate didn't begin before this incident. They've been censoring that guy and trying to, knock him out cold. And that kind of brings me to my message on the base question. All right. So Is the manosphere a breeding ground for toxicity? Was that it? Yeah. I
Yeah,
believe
that's
it
the
is.
question. Go ahead.
So people, especially feminists, have made toxicity synonymous with masculinity. So I would replace the word toxic with masculine. All right. So that's what it's a breeding ground for. And the reason why people like to switch that word out is because masculinity scares women. Women believe they have power now, but you have pseudo power. And anything about men congregating and sharing our views, no matter how uncomfortable it may be for women, scares you. But it ultimately needs to happen and will happen anyway. So it's not a breeding ground for toxicity. We're just talking amongst ourselves. Every group of men on earth congregate and do the same exact thing. But in our particular community, it scares women because you know that once we're together in force, we start owning things. You don't want to take a back seat. And that's really why I believe there's so many people fighting against it.
Well, some of these comments I'm seeing that some of the people are saying, as far as this, I mean, they're gonna censor shit like that. You can't say that. And
She
then
took it out of context, though. I don't think he said it was her fault. I think he said some women have to bear some responsibility when it accountability.
no,
Quote unquote.
no.
Okay, so let's pull it up then.
I have no. I'm not even talking about his comment. That's very
Oh,
well what
okay.
he could say. I just don't agree with that. There is no accountability for you of me for you not knowing how to control yourself. We can. The world's a dangerous place because it is. That doesn't make the people doing dangerous shit okay. It doesn't make it okay.
So he should be banned for his
because
opinion.
it happens. It doesn't make it okay. Those people still need to control themselves. So there is
Right, I
never
agree
in
with you.
any
But does
instance.
that mean he should be banned for his opinion?
Well, I don't know if that, I mean, where's the other comment where about the allegations that came up about him and sex trafficking? I mean, if he is in some kind of legal thing, federal case about that, I mean, there are lots of, listen, they obviously had their reasons. I don't know why, but I do feel like saying, you know, Trigger Mike, that we should replace toxicity with masculinity. I think that's extremely dangerous. I don't think being masculine means you
That's
need to
not what
be
he said.
loud. I don't think being
No.
masculine means you need to be disrespectful. I don't think masculine means you need to call people out of their names and be rude. I don't think that masculine means you need to be aggressive, like towards women anyway. So I get what you're saying in terms of like masculinity, but when those things are the things that we're seeing, and then you're saying that we should change it from toxic to masculine. I just think that's unfortunate. I have so many masculine men in my life that are not loud, that are not disrespectful, that don't do those things and then try to trope them up to, oh, because I'm a man.
Well,
But I want to hear what Tay thinks, please.
Yeah,
Let's get Tay in here.
Sorry, Tay.
Oh, well, I can't say all women, but I'm not personally scared at all, you know, as far as what the manosphere, you know, what a lot of men have to say. I think it's more of when it gets into more of a type of a bias type of thing. Like it turns into men venting off of their past experiences and the things that they went through, and they're venting it out, you know, to everyone, and creating this certain specific type of narrative on specific women, you know, or all women. They would try to make it seem like it's all women that are doing this or being this way, you know, or all Black women are being this way, being that way. And it's just, in a way, it can become so negative towards Black women, you know, towards us, to where people that are not Black, you know, are looking at us Black women a certain type of way.
Well, I think well, for the most part, my show doesn't use terms like all. We use terms like most. We when we look at statistics, we speak to the majority when we educate. So if it applies to you,
and you know, I think men should have a place to vent. You know, I think that one of the biggest problems with modern society is that
Everybody mute, please. I don't know why when Rob starts talking, it starts sounding crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. But for some reason, you know, in this modern society, you know, Black men really don't have a lot of places where they can vent. I think that's one of the reasons why the Manosphere became so popular, because it's like, you know, at one point in time, you know, the liberals supported us, and then after a certain point in time, they kind of forgot about us. You know, it got to the point where the only time the liberals cared about a black person is if he was gay or if he was shot by the police. Other than that, they didn't really care about him. And it's like we didn't really have a place to vent or talk. So I think it's a really good place. I don't really think it breeds toxicity. I think that we say a lot of things that a lot of people don't like because it's been so long since we've been able to really talk and vent out our opinions and our sides about things. A lot of people just aren't used to hearing what we have to say. So now that we finally have a platform to where we can talk about these things and vent and, you know, talk about what we have to say, a lot of people don't like it. You know, I definitely agree that it shouldn't cross the line of disrespect. There's no need to disrespect people, call people out their name. And I understand people get passionate, but there's a difference between saying something you don't like and toxicity. Those are two different things.
Yep. And I will replace toxicity with awareness. Just simple.
Okay.
Well, Kayla, can I? No, I'm gonna
let Tay go really quick, and then I'll let you ask a question. Everybody, mute up. Go ahead, Tay.
Well, I was just gonna say, what's the difference between men venting and actually, what would I say? Mentoring. What's the difference between the venting and mentoring?
Right.
Or expressing, you know, the.
So when you vent,
That's a good question. If any of the men want to answer, I just genuinely think it's separate spaces.
So in my experience, whenever someone comes on the show and they venting, they're telling us their experiences. Some of them is traumatic experiences, and for the most part, they're just looking for someone to talk to communicate with, to see if we can relate to what they're going through. And a lot of times, we're able to relate to what they're going through, and we're able to find a solution, or we're able to bring it to a discussion platform and try to figure out how things, where did the ball drop in their situation. So as far as a mentor, we're able to show them a way out if they're trapped in some instance or some situation.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, but is that the sole focus or the sole purpose rather? Like, is it? So if men are just getting together to vent, I don't know.
No, we're not just getting together to vent.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. If men are getting together to vent, I don't really know if it's a space for women. I thought that the space was for us to talk about relationships, for us to share our opinions and our views, to try to find common ground on issues. But if it's a space for men to vent, then I don't really want to be there, because if I was in a space for women to vent, I know y'all wouldn't want to be there, because this is going to change. It's just going to turn into a complaining room. We're all just going to be like, oh, let me tell you about this nigga, this one nigga I dealt with 10 years ago. Ain't shit. Like, it's just going to turn into everybody just going off about the shit that they hate. So if the Manosphere is a place for men to vent, I don't need to be here. I don't want to hear y'all complaints. Like, I hear them from the men that actually in my life, they communicate with me. So I don't need to hear how y'all feel about a girl that did whatever, about men I'm not interested in, not ever going to be interested.
Yeah. Did she freeze?
I think so.
All right. When we talk about the black manosphere,
I
don't think we're using the term the black manosphere enough. Because the manosphere has a lot of white people, got a lot of other people that are talking about, rational male, all that type of stuff. And the black manosphere specifically, the reason why I think it gets some of the hate that it does is because in our community, women have had the voice for so long. So the issue is that when women come into space, for some reason, whenever men do something, women think it's unisex. So y'all just come over and start listening as well. All right. But because you notice we don't give two shits about, like, we don't go to all women's groups, women's conferences talk about, I want to be heard. But somehow black women ended up in the manosphere. Okay, great. Now these women that are in the manosphere listening to these topics, y'all were never aware of how we actually felt about anything. So that the black manosphere has taken on maybe that it can't be toxic, because I can tell you your white counterparts are saying the same thing. And the reason you might not even hear some of the same topics is because they don't have the same problems that we do. But if they did, they would be saying the same or worse. Do you think a man from the Middle East would be dealing with the behavior that black men got to deal with from, some of their women? They would be talking about the same stuff we talk about, but women have never heard it because men have been shouted down because women have ruled the narrative for so long because of single mother-led homes and things of that nature.
Hey, Mike, you want to give you an example of why the manosphere needs to stay? Remember when Gayle King said that stuff about Kobe Bryant after he passed away?
She got mollywopped, and that was good for her.
And they told Snoop Dogg to calm down for cursing at her. Would they ever tell a black woman to calm down after they speak negative about a black woman and her passing like that? I don't think they'd ever tell a black, calm down. You need to relax. You're speaking. They told Snoop Dogg to calm down when she was speaking negative about a black male icon. So that's what I was saying earlier. Mainstream news consistently disrespects black males, but we don't have nobody to speak for them. I've never heard of anybody speaking negative about, other male icons like that, and they don't have nobody, nobody speaks for them. People defend really Elvis today. They still defend Elvis Presley right now.
Do you know what the trick is, which is really funny about this whole manosphere thing? The black manosphere is nothing but an extension of the barbershop. So it's crazy that y'all come
exactly. I don't go in there for a reason.
It's crazy how y'all think the manosphere is so terrible. But if you hate the black manosphere, you probably hate your father. You probably hate your Uncle Ray, your Uncle Pookie. You probably hate all of them because this is stuff we talk about in the barbershop and have been doing.
Wait, Uncle Pookie and Ray Ray?
I don't have
clearly because y'all said that they are the ones with these kids all over. They are grown. They're uncles now.
Yeah, but this is nothing but an extension of the barbershop. So none of this talk is new. Y'all just never knew how we felt for real, which is kind of sad in its own sense.
I go as far as mine says my show is not an extension of the barbershop. Mine literally speak to how the effects of policies shape how we date and how we relate to each other as far as marriage and relationships.
Policies?
That's it.
Which policies? Like you talking about legal, we
talked about Roe v. Wade. We talked about we talked about how the Great Society Act that was established back in the 1970s, the programs and stuff, kind of pushed out the black male. We talked about the war on drugs, how the Contra war from the CIA in Nicaragua, how pumping drugs into the communities and then turning cocaine to crack kind of separated the black families. We always talk about how these things in the past affect the legacy today. So when you look at a lot of races and then you have an understanding of, okay, so why is this race never have anything to pass down every 100 years? Oh, because of they're disproportionately affected by all these policies. We haven't even got to the 1994 crime bill in the prison industrial complex.
Now, 3 strike law. Stuff I like.
So we're going to get into that. And it literally relates to relationships and how the availability of having a good mate, you know what I'm saying? The availability of having legacy passed down. How are we passing down legacy? We can't, because we're running into all these obstacle courses when the policies are changing and we're being disproportionately affected. You get what I'm saying? Tay muted.
Hey, come on, girl.
Sorry.
I think you're
sorry.
Oh, go ahead. There you go.
That's because he just strategized, for centuries. You know what I mean? It was a whole strategic thing, for centuries.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a blueprint. That's
and you know what? I tried to.
It's systematic. They systematically did it for a reason, to keep the community down.
Yeah, light skin, black men, black women. It's like they wanted it like this. They wanted that. Flash.
Every step of the way was a step to destabilize the community. Every step.
What I will say is
every step.
The intentions wasn't necessarily initially there, but once it got there, no one was willing to clean it up because they start getting all kind of revenue from it. So like the Contra war wasn't planned to pump crack into the community. It was planned. They tried to figure out how can we fund a war? You know what I'm saying? How can we pay for firearms and stuff? Okay, so we can take the cocaine, bring it into the U.S., sell it, and then we can take the money, and now we can afford weapons for the war. Nobody knew, nobody anticipated that somebody was going to mix some cocaine with baking soda and create a cookie and start breaking up families and just sit. It's just a residue of these actions. Nobody was able to foresee what was going to have the outcome. And whenever the outcome presented itself, nobody did anything to clear it up because it disproportionately affected certain demographic. And well, we really don't care about that demographic as much as we would our own or the one that we're in. So like whenever now you have opioid crisis now. So now you got all these programs for people who's suffering from opioid crisis. You got health programs and stuff. But back when crack was a crisis, oh no, you going to jail.
Right.
There ain't no health. There ain't no help. There ain't no medical attention. Nothing. That whenever these mothers was caught with crack, and some of them were having babies and shit, they handcuffed them to the bed they were giving birth to. As soon as they gave birth, a lot of them, in a matter of hours, were going straight to jail, right off of the bed. There was no help at all. When they criminalized crack to a point to where if you did it, you were a criminal, and they didn't care about nothing else. If you got caught with it, didn't care about nothing else. You were a criminal.
And the prison system was still like in its starting phases of the corporate prison system was getting all together on and that as well. So I mean, it just became a domino effects from Tulsa to Martin and then it just domino affected from there. And I think that those are conversations that we don't have enough. And we do a lot of blaming one another when there's a lot of systemic things that have affected us, like fully, our minds, our thought process, our values, just like that, the way that we see things, the way that some situations happen. And I don't think that we're allowed to give each other a lot of grace. You know what I mean? A lot of these Pookies and Ray Rays had real mental health problems, had real drug issues, had real, the prison pipeline, like they were targeted to be in prison from the age of 6. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we don't give each other a lot of grace in that. And same thing with women, not having fathers that were there, women that lost their husbands to violence, to gang violence, to drugs, to prison, ended up having to take on the load. And there's so many different stories and so many different things. And I think that I just wish that the sphere, or maybe we need to create some new shit that's really about Black people coming together, trying to find solutions on how we can, regardless of those things that have happened, the systematic things, the entertainment of it all as well, we'll find a place to say, hey, we want to rebuild Tulsa. We want to rebuild that community. But I don't think that it comes from either one having echo chamber fests of complaining. I don't think that that's going to get us there. I think it's created more of a gender divide. I think it's created more issues between the both of us, and it's given the people on the outside of our community more ammunition to prop up, to continue the systematic division. You know what I'm saying? By pushing a lot of that, like I said, and why Kevin Samuels is only known for the negative things that he has said.
So
we just give them more am to divide us.
My revolutionary hat on for a moment. Are you talking about unity? Is that what you said? We need unity? Okay, unity.
No, I said we need I don't know if it's the Manosphere, but we need a new space that's focused on what we can do to come together, what we can do to make it work. Not what happened to you 10 years ago and why blah, 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 your complaints. Like, what are we actively doing in terms of our 5-year plan for the community to come together?
Hey, Tate, make sure you good when you talking, but like when you ain't talking, you want to make sure you mute in between. That's what JR is trying to say in the background.
Yeah, mute in between.
Yeah, but I don't think unity is the answer. Let me explain my answer. Here's why. That'll just be the 1 millionth in one way or space people want to create, and it's going to turn into the same thing. What we really need is already happening. All right. So right now our community has hit a fever pitch. All right. It needs to be all of this effery and discord that we see, so the smart people can start to distance themselves from it. Actions speak louder than words. Let the people keep talking and arguing amongst themselves. But me, Bruiser, I know Bruiser, I don't know the gentleman at the bottom. We married Black women. All right. We birthed Black children. Our children are going to go to good schools. They're going to be pillars in the community. We pay our taxes. So what really needs to happen is already happening. We're going to be out here putting on for the Black community. And at the end of the day, we're going to be the example. Now, the other thing that needs to happen, especially in mainstream Black America, is we need to stop marketing our underculture, rap, illegal gun use, all of that type of stuff as our mainstream culture. When you say show me your best as a Black person, somebody shouldn't say Young Thug because they like the fact that he got a lot of women. But you might get somebody that says that. You ask a Middle Eastern person, an Asian person, a Hispanic person, they're going to show you somebody who is educated, creates jobs for other people, married, created children in their own likeness. All right. So that's what I'm saying. Myself, Bruiser, other Black men doing their thing. We are the shining pillars of the Black community. And once people realize, they come to our neighborhoods out here in Texas, we got nice big land, and be like, a Black man did this, they'll change their ways because ain't nothing going on in the hood but niggas killing more niggas. So we don't need unity. Let them keep doing whatever they want to do. Nothing shows someone what they need to be doing more than excellence in pure form. I'm not even here to talk to people anymore. There's nothing I can say to get you to change your ways except be the best version I can be and let you see your image in me doing well.
Well, Mike, you said so you don't know me. I'm an African woman, so I guess she classifies as Black. But what you were
Black
saying
is a color. Go on.
Okay, okay, Black is a color.
African.
But Mike, what you were saying is, I think that when you speak to the whole Black community thing, I don't think we actually are a community. I think we're just a bunch of individuals who just run in a group whenever we feel scared or, when the police do something, we all just a bunch of individuals running down the street, but we never have no plan. Like we run to the voting polls to get things we want fixed. But then when everybody's in office, nothing happens. I think we're not the community that we claim that we are, unlike other groups of people. We're not this big community. I've often heard some of us call each other, you're not Black enough. We say that to other Black folks.
Yeah.
We're not really a community like we claim that we are. So
you're saying something I say all the time. So those
are the people who believe Black is a culture.
We act like community is made up of individuals. It's actually made up of families. That's why I kept saying the word family and referencing my kids and the fact that I married a Black woman. I did all of that on purpose to put more children, more positive faces into the Black, what could be community. We have a Black lack of community because we have a lack of family structure. So any group of people that are not focused on creating families and groups that congregate with each other, pay taxes, buy homes, they have no say in this at all on what needs to happen in the Black community if you're not doing that exact thing I just named.
Well, brother, I think to the people,
ego.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Competition and ego. As far as, how us Black folks are and why we can't, really, be more in sync with each other because of ego and competition. You want to be better. You want to be better than how our other Black neighbors are doing. You know what I mean? You want to do that. You don't want to, you have a lot of positive mentors, out there. But you also have a lot of ego, if that makes sense.
I would say this, though, what Bruiser was saying earlier, I think that the Black males who are positive, who are leaders, folks don't respect their opinion. Like people don't listen to their opinion. They're not eager to listen to their opinion.
I think our own leaders.
I would argue if Dr. King was to rise right now, I think Black folks would tell him to shut the hell up.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what they did when he was alive.
You remember what he did say on his own deathbed in terms that he felt like he led his people into a burning building.
Yeah, so I think that would have changed.
I think feel a lot of way about some of the stuff he said. Instead of we spending all that time doing what we was doing, we should have been mobilizing. Goddamn it.
Yeah, people would tell him to shut up before his last speech, but I think once he got to that last speech, that's when he was going to transform, and that's when it was too late.
Yeah,
because when he started talking about, hey, we're going to go get our check. Now, Black people ain't going to shut you up when you're talking about that.
Yeah, his message definitely changed towards the end of his life, and people were trying to put him down even when he was alive. People were, against him and stuff, and But you know, when it comes to this whole manosphere thing, I think like Trigger Mike said, like what needs to happen is happening. Like you have, you know, it really is kind of like the barbershop. You know, when you're in the barbershop, you know, you have your fair amount of like ignorant people that's just in there saying a bunch of dumb stuff. But then you get some people in there, you know, saying some real shit, talking about, you know, unity and the economy and stuff like that. And you know, those people tend to when those people tend to talk, everybody tends to listen. And I think that's kind of what's happening in the manosphere as well. It's like you have more people, you're getting more of the male side of what needs to happen. And I think that's a part that's been missing. You can't have unity if one side's opinion is just completely missing from the equation. And that's what's been happening for a long time now. The black man's opinion has been missing for a long time because, you know, liberals, they love black women. They love every single opinion that y'all got to say, everything that y'all do, they love it. But when it comes to a black man, if you ain't gay or if you haven't been shot by the police, they don't give a shit. You know, so
well, that brings me to wanting to read some super chats. Let's pay some bills and read some super chats. Shout out to Sir Cartier, who says women in relationships who travel alone for pleasure are for the streets. It's definitely not true. Shout out to Robert Nathan, who said so many people are perpetually single trying to please their friends. Shaking their head. Shout out to Robert again. Thank you so much for the love. Shout out to Nessa Ray Lewis. Come through, Kayla. Hey, girl. Thank you, boo. Shout out to Perry Unlikely, who says 90K black men and 80K black women in the U.S. between ages 25 and 40 make 100K or more. And that's it. A lot of online capping is going on. 50% live check to check. Uncle Luke 1980 says, hey, my little bros, F and F fire. They doing great things and helping men grow and self-improvement at the same time exposing female inadequacy. I don't condone that messaging. Anyway, Shio, fantastic. Most black men don't care about what 80% of men think. A man making 43K is not saying his wife should stay home. But since the men in the manosphere match that type they want, that's what they hearing. KS showed that. I mean,
I said that.
Yeah, Killer Mike did say that too. AL, $5. It wasn't abuse. It was a kink video. There's a video where she confirmed it was consensual, and she said he should have done it harder next time.
That's why I was trying to ask trying to ask further details on that video.
And also, this video was from some time ago, and now that it's become public, I don't always I worked in PR for years, so I don't always believe when people suddenly come out with the, oh, this is what had happened video, because that could be motivated by many reasons via being paid or being censored. So you know, I don't know about that one. Lil Meat says, love you, Kayla. Thank you so much. Kicking it with Killa says, these are extremes in the manosphere, just like there are extremes in feminism. Most people are moderate and sensible. I hope. I think that too. I agree. Rebellious Video says nobody got smoked for Cynthia G though. Cynthia G, who's that? Cynthia G.
She hates black men.
Who is that?
She hates black men. That's her nickname.
Cynthia G is the one who's on Instagram, and she's got guys calling in trying to figure out if they can date, find somebody that can date on Instagram.
I thought that was Kendra G.
It's Kendra G.
No, Kendra G is someone completely different. I know Kendra G not saying nothing about hating
Cynthia G is the woman that said black males should be aborted. Cynthia G hates black men.
Well, we'll have to look into it. I'm not sure who she is.
I wonder what color her boyfriend is.
I don't condone her messaging. I love my black men. All of them are very valuable to me.
Wait, is it true?
I don't know. We'll have to look into that. Someone dropped the link in the chat. I don't know. Men and women. Oh, Marcel, $5. Men and women divided create separate households. More expenses, more taxes. Plus, people are still creating future generations. So true. When you break up, now you're paying rent in two different households. That's money that could have went into the family for productive things.
So why are women
season. Lastly, but not least, $10. Thank you so much, fam. Appreciate y'all. Y'all already know we are only a community when one of us becomes a hashtag. Then it's right back to the crabs in the barrel mentality. We got to change that. And I think that's facts. Because we always do see that sometimes when Black people start rising up the ranks. You know, I've seen in corporate America sometimes how certain Black people I've been worried about them more than I've been worried about the white people. You know what I mean? Because they're looking out for self. And if that means putting another Black person under the barrel to be like, I am the token Black person. I mean, that used to be, being the token Black person was a thing when I grew up, you know? So I agree with that. I miss Malevolent. I miss Malevolent Elephants super chat coming through with the $100. I will never miss that. My bad. Thank you, Mr. Elephant. We appreciate you. And he was at Atlanta, and he was at Houston. So shout out to Malevolent, major supporter. We rock with you hard. And he's actually had a little cameo in my most recent behind the scenes vlog from the Lapeef experience in Atlanta. So y'all can check that out if y'all want to see some, if y'all want to see what really happened. But yeah, so thank you so much to everyone who donated. We appreciate it. So what do y'all think? We are winding down in the show. We said we weren't going to do any of those 5-hour shows today. Just a cute little 3-hour show for you all tonight. So we have 15 more minutes if anyone wants to call in and come up on the panel. If you got smoke for me or anyone else on the panel, we're ready.
I just want to reiterate one thing, though. I just want to reiterate one thing about this Manosphere thing. I know the reason why I can't. First of all, I appreciate everything Lapeef experience has brought to me, because if it wasn't for Lapeef Network, I wouldn't even been inspired to like do what I'm currently doing right now, man. So it's guys like JR, it's guys like Anton, it's guys like Logic, Kayla, all y'all. You know what I'm saying, that like woke me up a little bit. Like, hey man, like, a lot of people always ask me, like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, why are you always talking down on the community and saying we don't do this and we don't? What are you gonna do about it? So I've been assertive, and like back to Tate's questions. The reason why I target policies and stuff, because we always make these statements saying, "Oh, this is a single parent household. This is the reason why this is happening because the father ain't in the home." But nobody's going back to how did it become that. Like, how did it become like that? Like, how did this situation, where did it originate from? And that is the reason why I always talk about policies that could cause that effect, because I think it was from 1970 to 2019, the single parent household went up 300%. So it more than, go ahead and say something, Marcus. Look like you about to say something.
Yeah, I was. I didn't mean to interrupt you though. While I was listening to what you're saying, one thing I disagree with you on is a lot of Black folks claim to know what the traps are, but we still falling for them. So if you know what the traps are, you shouldn't be stepping on them. We know what the white man want to do. So I hear you about what the white man ain't doing for us and all this other stuff, bro. But
I don't remember saying anything about what the white man wasn't doing though.
No, I'm with you on the policy thing. That's why I'm at the white man when I'm at the policy stuff. I'm with you on that. I'm saying that we are fully aware of what the problems are, but we have to actively make better decisions. My father used to tell me as a kid, the more disenfranchised you are, the more scrupulous you got to be in your decision making. We as Black folks know what we need to be doing, but we choose not to do it. We have family members we know are fucking up, but we don't say nothing to them. We have cousins, we have friends, we know.
It's accountability, yeah. So, and that's my thing. I wasn't really talking about. I didn't put a race on it, because a lot of these policies and stuff, we actually have the opportunity to vote them in effect. Like, we actually have the opportunity to vote people into office. That's why they say go and vote. So if you're gonna be giving out your vote, you need to know what you're voting for, and you need to know what policies are being in play, so you can make these changes if you want them to change. So on the show, we're not playing victim mentality at all. We're just if we're going to talk about why things are the way they are and how we can move it forward, we do need to know how they originated. And that's the whole thing. We figure out how it's originated. Okay, how did we get here? Why do we get so crippled? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so now this is how we get out of it. And that's the whole trajectory of our show.
Well, what I'm saying is that there are many black folks who are intelligent enough that can tell a community what we need to do, what we should be doing. I'm saying the folks that are supposed to listen, they're not listening.
Yeah.
They're not interested in listening. They just want to complain, brother. They're not interested in listening.
Yeah.
They just want to sit at home and yell and scream in the bathroom while the shower's on. They don't want to listen. They're not eager to change.
I can't let that be the energy of the driving force of what I want to do and what I want to accomplish. Is if based off of whether or not somebody listening. There's always somebody listening. I get it. We can't get everybody to listen, but if I'm able to change one person's life with what I'm trying to bring, that's important to me.
Oh no, I'm not attacking your argument. I'm saying that if we can't take back our households, brother, we can't start in the streets first. We have to take back these homes first.
Yeah,
these homes got to get fixed first.
Yeah. That's my overall.
We can't be in the streets yelling about the white man, and these homes is fucked up.
Right.
Yeah, but you got to understand though. You got to understand though what's going out in the streets and the policies and stuff is actually having an impact in your bedroom. We just saw an overturn of Roe v. Wade. That got something to do with right in between your legs. That can go through your front door into your bedroom. So why can't we talk about that?
I'm not saying we can't. I'm saying, brother, if we don't fix the issues in the home, like you said, these policies, they do attack the American family. But we still have choice to fix these problems in our own individual households. Yeah. We just don't do it. But then when somebody gets shot, we want to go out and protest. Well, that brother shouldn't have been outside anyway.
So I see where both of y'all are coming from. And like Bruiser, you're a very intelligent guy. So you want to fix the macro, right? So you're looking at policies and big things like that. But I also understand what Marcus is saying, because black men, by and large, read at a third grade reading level. So talking to them about policies, like you can fix the issue for when they arrive to that level, right? But you got to meet them where they're at. So that's why you got to talk to them at a granular level. Fix yourself so you can make a family, so you can build wealth. So like we got to start very, low, because we have critical, fundamental, and systemic issues at the bottom before we can get like you can't go to the average. I'm not even gonna say street dude, right? You can't go to the average man who's just going to work every day to support himself about how policies affect his life when he's going to Black Lives Matter rallies. He still think that's how the world affects him. He still goes to go loot and throw stuff through windows in his own neighborhood. That's what
I get what everybody's saying, and I understand it, and I agree with it. But what I'm trying to accomplish is very niche and very precise and accurate. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a lot of room for all those other aspects of or talking points or issues that we have. My goal is to attack the relationship, the family, the legacy. That's it. All this other stuff, crime and all disproportionate laws and all that shit. Yeah, it has an effect. But my target is to how to increase marriage. How can we, but that's why we call it the groomsman show. How can we make more men and more women marry and stay in a marriage?
What Bruiser is talking about, it is doing what you're talking about, Marcus, because in order to fix the home and in order to do those things, you have to figure out how it got to that way in the first place. If you don't know how it got to that level in the first place, then how can you fix it? That's why you can't just say, well, black people need to do this or black people need to do that. You got to figure out how to do it. And that's what Bruiser is saying. Like he's saying, like, we have to figure out how to do these things, because if we don't know how to do it, then you can't do it. And if you don't know how to do it, you can't break it down to people. And I know there's a lot of guys out here that, like you said, they have their, their reading level is really low and things like that. And that's definitely sad. But you can't break it down to those guys if you don't know yourself. So that's all he's not playing victim Olympics or trying to say we need to just forget about what's going on right now and just focus on the past. No, you need to figure out the past so you can affect the present, so you can change the present. So y'all talking about doing the same thing. Yeah. You're just talking about different points in the timeline, but you're talking about the exact same timeline.
Yeah, my whole goal is to figure out what the intent was. What is the intent of this? Like, why did it come to this? What was the intent? Was the intent for the results to be like this? No. So how do we fix it? How can we deviate from what's the pattern? You get what I'm saying?
So yeah. My overall, so like everybody's talking about their imagery, their overall impact. Let me give y'all what I believe needs to happen firstly, because you got to do these things in a tiered system by objective. So here's my primary objective of my advocacy in the Black community. All right, Black men, notice I said men, need to take back control of our imagery in the media and take it completely from the women. We have to be responsible for our own imagery. And what I mean by that is, you heard me say earlier that we somehow allowed the underculture, everything that's bad in our society, illegal, illicit, to be put out in the mainstream to affect the views about us. I still kind of get upset, just a little upset, when I'm going to the grocery store, walking past somebody's door in broad daylight, their car door, and they shut the door. They lock it on me because it startles me. You know, like what's going on? Like, you know, but that's happened to me my whole life because of that negative imagery. I'm in the suburbs. I'm in some Crocs. Lady, I'm not about to hurt you. You see what I'm saying? That's some negative imagery. We got to take back the most harmless looking dude out there. Like,
I got some Crocs on.
I got some Crocs. Who about to rob you in some Crocs?
All
right.
Yeah. And I completely agree with you. We do have to change that. But in order to change that, we have to figure out how it got that way in the first place. Because if you just say you just want to change it, but you don't really know how it got that way in the first place, it's going to be easier for the white supremacists just to break down whatever you're doing. Man, which is why, I really understand what Bruiser is saying. And I completely agree with what you're saying, because I've had that happen to me before too. I drive a Lexus and I go to church every Sunday. I'm going into the grocery store in a fucking suit and I'm getting followed around everywhere I go. If I go into a Walgreens, this same silly ass white lady is following me around everywhere I fucking go. Like, I'm in a suit. Like, you think I'm gonna sit up there and risk my job for a fucking little piece of toothpaste or something? Like, this shit is ridiculous. Like, so I completely understand what you're saying, but Rob, we have to know how to properly do it.
Exactly. Let me tell you where I disagree a little bit with what you said. You mentioned white supremacy. White supremacy on an everyday level does not affect the average Black person. And that is a part of the message that I want Black men to take, because it's making them too sensitive to everything white people do, right? We have it right now in our community where a kid will get detention from a white teacher and blame it on racism before they acknowledge their own bad behavior.
It's not the blame for everything, and that's definitely not what I'm saying. I'm not saying like every single time a negative action comes from a white person is white supremacy, and I'm definitely not trying to convey that message. That's cool.
Yeah, because I'm trying to get it to the point where everything. I mean, I really don't. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't feel white people, and this is the most important part. I really don't care. I think as Black people in this country, people care too much about what other people think. Like, why we should not have so many buzzwords for, like, I'm one of, in my section, maybe one of 3 Black families out of 27 homes in this. I do not care what any of these people think. I pay the same amount of taxes as they do, so my kids can go to the same exact exemplary school. Everybody who has something negative to say about me can kiss my ass. You see what I'm saying? That's the way most people need to behave and charge.
And I definitely understand what you're saying. And that, when I say white supremacy, I'm not talking about like the way people think of you, because you can't really care about what anybody really thinks of you, no matter what race you are. And I definitely understand what you're saying. Like, a lot of people do get too sensitive when it comes to that. I think that's what holds a lot of people back. Because a lot of people, they don't improve themselves and they just blame white supremacy for everything. Mm-hmm. But, when I say white supremacy, I'm mainly talking about the like the policies that were put in again, like what Bruiser was talking about. How did these things start? How did it get to the point to where it is the way it is right now? And you can't look at how things got to where they are right now without adding white supremacy in the equation. I'm definitely not saying it's a cause for all Black people problems, but you have to kind of factor that in there.
You have to,
Yeah,
in certain things, in certain situations you get into in today's age, you're gonna run into a lot of residue that's come from it, that's never been repaired, that's never been fixed. And it's not so much that, oh, they keep bothering us or they keep picking on us. No, it's still it's policies and statutes and laws that never been changed or never been reformed that still has a disproportionate effect on specific demographics. And if we be remiss if we didn't recognize it. And I recognize it every time. I mean, it applies to whatever I'm trying to speak to. I don't just try to go out and be a Superman to advocate. Oh, I got to stop white supremacy. Or no, I just speak to it and I recognize it and I try to pierce my way through it whenever it gets in my way. So like housing, I just posted a link in the back. There was a couple who had a home that was a Black owner who appraised the home for $472,000.
They took down the pictures.
Huh?
They took down the pictures and they resold it.
Yeah, they got it reappraised. They put a white couple stuff in there and they got appraised for $750,000. So whenever you have stuff like that, you ain't got to say it's white supremacy, but you can't say that some of these housing laws or whatever, or appraisal laws need to be changed or need to be looked at a little closer, because a lot of this stuff is going on and people are clueless. People are getting screwed over.
That's not because of laws. That's because of a greedy individual.
Well, yeah. So like, what causes a person? So how do you label that without being without being accused of playing victim? How do you label that action or that offense? So if you can't say white supremacy, what can you say? What can you say that is? Oh, they just hate that person.
Bad household, man. That's what it is.
You're not wrong. Nobody can tell y'all wrong. Here's my overall thing about. Remember, I'm taking a completely different approach than everybody because I believe everything we do doesn't work. Here's my approach to it. There's a disproportionate amount of Black people that are poor. That's why it looks like we get affected by the things that poor people. It is not really racism. Most of the things that affect you as a Black person are classism. Let me tell you, as somebody that lived in Africa before, classism exists everywhere you go. It can be African people oppressing African people, Asian people oppressing Asian people, etc. Classism is what this problem is about. The second you move yourself up into a better neighborhood, better circumstances, you will find out these things don't naturally happen to you, and they can't really affect you the way they affect other people that are, not making as much money and are considered poor. The reason why it looks like somebody is trying to take advantage of them and, oh, this white person did this to me, is because they're trying to take advantage of the fact that they're Black, lowball them. I have an investor who's going to buy this at a low price because I don't believe a white person would take it at this low price. They're thinking that you're poor. So yes, that individual should get some kind of they should get some kind of disciplinary action for that. You're trying to take advantage of a class situation. Your class, you're doing something extremely classist to these people, but it's going to be extremely hard to prove that that's racist. I'm telling you.
No, Trevor, I'm in a much better position than I was probably like 10 or 15 years ago. And I still see a lot of this shit still happening to me. Like, I mean, I understand what you're saying. There are some things that I don't experience anymore that I used to, but I'm just saying it exists. I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm not saying it's a reason not to live to your full potential. I'm just saying it exists. I mean, even LeBron James talks about it. And, somebody who's like one of the highest paid players in the NBA can say that, I think it can happen to us too. It's
hard to have these conversations.
I'm just saying I'm not saying it's an excuse. Yeah. I'm just saying it exists.
I actually think, I don't think race in America is a big enough problem for us to be protesting. I'm not arguing with you guys on why it's an issue. I'm saying that we as people, we have to take back our household. Once you do that, you can address every other issue. Your biggest motivation in life is going to be your mom and your dad. They're going to be the biggest influence that you have, good or bad. If your mom's an alcoholic, you're probably not going to like to drink as an adult. they're going to be your biggest motivation in life. You know, when I was in the Army, I learned that if your troops want to follow you, it's easy to give out orders. If they hate you, it's going to be tough to give out orders. So
Please help me understand how we got to take it back. Like what when you say take it back, when was it taken away from us?
when was it taken away? When they started making all these social policies that this country has, like you often talk about, even though those policies are still in effect, black males have to take back their homes, brother. We have to be more assertive. As you said earlier, I know too many guys that say I came from a sperm donor. I know too many guys that, you know, they have negative stories about their dads. That should not be. I don't have nothing negative to say about my father. My father was always there, but many other folks, they have too many negative things to say about their dad. If you can't address the root cause, you can't address nothing else. You know, we talk about how the system, you know, the system shouldn't be teaching your kid how to fish. You should be showing them what fishing rods are before they go. You should be addressing these things at home. Now, everything you can't address at home, but the things that you can fix at home, we need to be fixing. There are a lot of black kids who go into school that are unmotivated because of the at-home circumstances. How are you expected to focus in school when your mom and dad ain't got food on the table? That's you can't focus. Your mom and dad are making bad decisions at home. How are you expected to focus? So I'm not saying, and like you were saying earlier, bro, I live in North Dakota, man. I live as white as they come, okay? White folks everywhere, all day, 24/7. Yo, when I went to trade school, these white folks, these dads was there every day checking on their son's progress. These moms is checking on these kids' progress. We just got to be more assertive in the home. Once we do that, everything else will fall into place. I'm with you, Bruce, and what you're saying about the whole policy thing, brother. Once we have our households together, we can have politicians and police commissioners. But until then, you can't expect these kids to be motivated to go to school and work hard if they don't got food on the table.
But that's exactly what he's talking. What he's talking about leads to having a better household. You can't just say, we just need to be assertive and do it. No, you have to figure out how to do it. It's not just about being assertive, work hard, just do it. You got to know what to do. If you don't know what to do, it's not going to work. And that's what he's talking about. Like, he's not saying anything contradictory to what you're saying. Like, nobody is disagreeing that we need to get the household together, but we need to figure out how to do that. Again, luckily for me, I come from generational fatherhood. I'm the third, and the only reason I'm not the fifth is because my great grandfather was a second born. So I come from generational fatherhood. So luckily, I didn't have to worry about that, but a lot of my friends didn't. And there's a reason behind that, dude. Like, like what you're saying is correct, but there's a reason why the household is like that. And Bruiser is saying we need to fix the reason why. Because if we fix the root, oh, I don't know where he went. But if we, I guess he got tired of my ass.
He might come back. I don't know.
But all I'm saying, like, we basically have to fix the root of the household. Once you fix that root, that, you know, everything else is gonna come together. But
yeah, I don't think we disagree at all, really.
I think we're just talking about two different parts of the same thing
from different sides. Like, I really am big on that thing. You know, when I advocate, like, nobody in my space, anybody I mentor, whether it's my brothers, frat brothers, little boys in the high school, I do not let them. I let them talk about their own power. They have been clouded. Their minds have been clouded with so much that it's somebody else's fault. The reason why I can't let them think that is because here's the funniest thing. We talk a lot about the government, right? The biggest oxymoron in history, the falsest thing anybody has ever said is, I'm the government and I'm here to help you. The government doesn't help anybody. In fact, they're actually making everything worse. Social program after social program. And the people who supposed to be getting the benefit, it ultimately affects things that we did. They gave out $1,200 checks, 2 or 3 times. That didn't really help anybody. The malls were packed at the Gucci store, and now inflation, which actually hurts poor people, is run rampant, right? So the government does not have our answer. We as individuals have our answer. I agree with you, Rob. The black man, the black father is paramount. It's what changes everything. Fatherhood changes everything in this argument. Look at what little boys and girls are at risk for immediately when their father leaves the home.
Yeah.
I would argue that a father is more important to a child's development after infancy than his mother, just because of those risk factors. So that's
Listen,
the way we need to start looking at things.
I wouldn't wholeheartedly say the government is a good thing. It is in some cases. It's just that it isn't optimized. It isn't when it's used and when it's put out to people, it isn't optimized for our best interest in some cases. It wasn't well planned. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't looked at a distance. You know what I'm saying? It was looked at like for the moment, but it didn't compensate for what could, how it could derail. Like when they put the PPP loans out, yeah, it was good for business. You know what I'm saying? It was good for people in struggling businesses and stuff, but they didn't compensate for people who was going to exploit it. Mm-hmm. Did they know it? Yeah, they did know it. So if you do know it, you do better, but they didn't care to the point that it wouldn't pump in more money to fine tune this type of program. So now you got people that's going to be under investigation, not for 2 years. I think they just extended it for another 10 years.
10 years.
So now these people are, there's people that should go to jail. But if you know you're putting out a bad program or policy, and you know people are going to exploit it, it's kind of like entrapment. It's kind of like a cop sitting in the bushes waiting on you to speed. You get what I'm saying? You know that this is a trap. At some point, people are going to abuse it. And now you got to put these people in jail. How about you just fine tune it and you don't give them no room to exploit it, and you won't have to worry about a bad program. You know what I'm saying?
It's commonplace for people to talk about the government like that. But again, I'll say I'm the government. I'm here to help you. They don't help anybody. Listen, one of the biggest moments in my life, especially as a professional at work, is to realize that the people who are my superiors are no smarter than I am. All right, that's the epiphany everybody needs to have. They just have a title. So at the end of the day, you're really looking at it like it's all on me. I need to save myself. As at our community, I think the first thing you said, Bruiser, was about the government. I'm not really looking for them to do anything as far as, especially like with those loans. They didn't. I don't believe that they knew they were hurting anybody.
No, they did. They were warned. They were warned that they needed to.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
needed to
but
fine tune it before they put it out.
Fails. And, you said something around the effect of, we need to ask for, no. If it's not politically advantageous to them, they're not going to do it. And Black people en masse do not ask for anything that helps our community. We give our vote out for free. So in effect, we're actually the ones that
literally political performances all over and no policy.
I think Ice Cube tried to change that at one point, tried to get everybody to have a contract, and
they jumped on his ass.
So this is actually, since we're talking politics, this is actually what the Democratic Party is afraid of. All right, I want you to think about, like we were talking about Martin Luther King, all of these people. Think about when the Black community was married at a rate of 80%. These men, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they had families. They had religion in their homes. Do you think these men are traditionally conservative or traditionally liberal? I'll save you a lot of time. They're conservative-minded men. So they know that if the Black man, they have made Black women their own voting caucus. They're going to soon be replaced by Hispanics, but Black women right now are probably like the X factor voting caucus of the Democratic Party. So they have incentive to keep our homes apart. All right, so this is why Black men need to not ask, take their position back in the Black community and in our homes, because
that's what we was able to. And that's these conversations helped us figure out, like, because the narrative was that Black women, they just want to get what you have babies and take advantage of the program. The programs ain't really worth shit like all that to be trying to make a come up off of. Anyway, Section 8 is not the game. So. We whenever we learned about the great society and welfare programs, we was able to understand the choices that the Black woman had. Okay, first of all, these brothers that was out here trying to get a job were being denied employment in some cases to a point where it was just overwhelming. So a woman, a sister that had a child, had to make a choice for her child. So I can't knock her, and a lot of platforms try to knock a woman for that. But that was then. But this is now. So now that we know this and we recognize what it done and how it separated families, what are we doing and how can we how can we deviate from that pattern and fix it? And that's what we speak to. So we tell brothers today, have a plan. And it's not even just black brothers, it's white folks, Asian, whatever, LGBT, whatever you are. Have a plan before you get in a relationship. Because when you start planting your seed, you don't have any control after that. You know what I'm saying? Now you got to trust. Now you got to trust the sister or the woman or whatever to make a decision in your best interest. And
hey, to that
from history, it hasn't been in our best interest.
To that effect, do you know that, something that it's a political statement? Do you know, I don't know why, our women have so much smoke for black men. Do you know black men have not made any policies that oppress black women in the United States of America? We've not made any policies. Y'all are mad at the wrong people, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. Go ahead. What's up, Marcus? Did you dip out? Did you dip out on our boy while he was making his
I was out fishing before I joined, so I'm using my phone right now. So yeah, I'm not on my laptop right now.
All right, cool.
Nah, I still watched it on YouTube. I ain't dip out on them. I heard the whole thing, Bruce. I might subscribe after today. Who knows? I might subscribe.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and subscribe, man. We unbiased over there. And I got a couple of guys that's work in corporate America. They the most unbiased. They unbiased to a point where sometimes some people call them simps or hold on, what do you call them, blue pill or call them coons? I don't use those kind of terms. I try to refrain from that. But we really have some fun over there, man. And like I said, man, this is the inspiration I got from being on the Lapeef Network. So
nice.
It's like Lapeef little like Lapeef had a baby and shit it out the groomsman show.
and somehow I didn't know we knew the same people. And your army buddies was my army, but some of them, it's crazy.
Yeah, military.
Yeah, that's cool though.
Yeah, and when I watch stuff like Ready to Love, like we supposed to have a topic on that coming up.
Really?
Yeah, we supposed to
one of the topics from the show.
Yeah,
And thank you everybody that's been watching. Appreciate y'all.
And I do watch. Kayla, how tall are you? That's actually my question.
I'm 5'8.5".
I was like, yo, is that Kayla? She kind of tall.
Yeah,
you was taller than some of the dudes on some real shit.
Yeah, I'm tall in real life. But what were you gonna say, Bruiser? No, I ain't really tall.
Sorry.
Well, what we wanted to do is examine the men on there, because we look at all men as a grooms. A man that aspires to have a wife one day, that's going to be married one day, and we try to look at what are his qualities whenever he's talking to a woman. How does he engage with a woman? I've seen parts where a woman would ask a man, how do he want kids, and he like, I don't know, and all that stuff, and then he asks her how do she want kids, and she says yeah, and he said how many? 3, and then he'll say, well, I guess we're gonna have 3 kids, and I'm like, bro, that's so cap, bro. Like you just said that you wasn't really ready for kids at the time, so we able to sniff out the imposter.
Wow, interesting. I can't comment, but I'll just say very interesting that some people are actually paying attention to what people are saying.
It's just one brother on there that kind of rubbed me the one. I think he was like, when he first came on the show, everybody was saying, I guess because of his charm, and he was his light-skinned dude with a beard, got a short haircut. He's and they were saying, yeah, that guy is sexy and all that, but he just has this demeanor, like this arrogance. Like he said to this one woman that I'm not gonna try to use my money to impress anybody.
Oh, you're talking about Justice.
Yeah, that guy. I was like, yo,
I don't need to spend money on you to know if I like you.
Yeah.
So I just need to spend time with you.
Aside from the dudes that like are widowed on that show, let me just say something to all the
Widowed?
women. Like, no, I'm saying like last season, a few seasons ago, like they've had a few widows.
There's no one widowed on our set.
Like, a few widowers.
Only one of the guys on our season has ever even been married, and he's divorced.
I need the young women to pay attention to that show, especially. Me and my wife have watched every season, right? So you're going to see that somebody pissed in the dating pool after 30. That show should actually scare you. It is entertainment, but some of those dudes are so socially awkward. Like the dude from the first 2 episodes got booted off. Second episode, I was just like, yo, this is embarrassing. He would like sweat, like break out in sweat. That's what's waiting for you if you don't take this partnership thing seriously in your younger years. That is what I've derived from that show. Not necessarily the women, but the men. Somebody pissed in that pool of men. Like,
and if you look at the guy that played for
let me just make this point. Kevin Samuels called women after 35 leftover women, men after 30 sometimes are leftover men, and they somehow end up on those type of shows. They really be misrepresented. I hate the way they make black men look on those damn shows. I really do.
I don't think the guy that used to play for the Buffalo Bills or whatever, the NFL player,
Devin, he used to play for the Bills.
I don't think he's gonna take anybody serious, man. You just see how he act, man. He's very childish and immature. And I think he's 32, maybe?
Devin, he's 32.
Yeah, like he don't even I don't think he knows what he's getting himself into if he get married. Like all that little charm you got, okay, yeah, you fit, you charm, that shit can only take you so far. But what are you gonna do when you I think he was the one who had a kid and didn't even know, or he didn't try to be in his life, and I think he caught some backlash for that in the beginning. I think in the first episode.
He had a one night stand when he was playing for the Bills, and she got pregnant, but they didn't have a relationship, and it's complicated. But Devin's done an interview where he talks about it. So if you just search through YouTube, we do post elimination interviews, and he has one that's out there where he talks all about his life in that situation. So
there's a brother that got 3 kids. He's got a big ass head. Nothing against you, brother, but
Mike
got a big square box head.
Mike is the only one on them that's been married. He's divorced and he has 3 children now.
Yeah, so whenever people ask him about kids, I know I can read through them like, bro, you don't even want no more kids for real. And that's another reason why he's I think when he ran into you at one point, he said, "Oh, you young.
Oh, you young.
Yeah.
Oh, you young."
That right there let me know that right there let me know that a lot of people keep advocating saying brothers that once they get older, they start to go for younger women. That might not all be necessarily true when you have kids. Because if you date a younger sister and you already got 3-4 kids, it's not gonna work out because she gonna want her own babies.
Let me just say that.
But that's the thing. If you don't want kids, then that's the issue, not me being young. Because there's also someone that he's on there that he's interested in that wants kids, but she's not. But he doesn't have a problem with her being only 4 years older than me.
But do she have kids already?
No, she doesn't have kids. She wants kids really bad. On the first episode, she was the one that said, "I want babies like yesterday." So why do you keep bringing up me being young? She's 35. I'm 30. Well, I'm 31 now. She's 35. She wants kids. I want kids. What is the difference?
Did you get to? I don't think that was.
You got to watch episode 4 because we get into more conversation about that. So you have to watch it. Everything changes drastically every episode, as Trigger Mike knows. Every episode, things change because there's so many things that happen behind the scenes. You only get to see 2 minutes of a 2-hour-long conversation. There's other things that are happening. People seeing each other off camera. So it's a lot of different things that happen that y'all don't get to see. And so so many things get misconstrued, but hey, it's a reality show. Like it is what
I don't even see the effects of the Manosphere in these brothers that's on that.
Oh, they never heard of the Manosphere at all. But but stay tuned because it does come up. Because one of the guys on there, I can't say who because it'll ruin the storyline. Someone on there watched me on Lapeef before I was on that show. Before I came on to the Ready to Love.
I don't want to sound
so not him, someone that he knows.
One of your cast members needs to wash their wig, man. It is getting on my nerves.
Is it me?
Not you. I said cast members. One of your cast members. It's getting on my last nerve. And they keep close enough to the lace front part of it. Watch that. Oh my gosh. I don't even understand, but I guess is it reality TV? Is it called reality TV?
It really is. They really
get paid up
but
front.
The thing is that so many things are provoked. So it really is our genuine reactions, but they're in situations that you would just never be in real life.
Yeah.
So it's you don't have to sit in a room with a bunch of other girls that are dating the guys that you're dating and talk about how it's going. That would never happen.
Do you know what I do like about
just situations that come out.
This is what I like about the scenario they create for y'all because it's like putting an accelerator on what really needs to happen in real life, even though you don't know these men and their character. I like when those first few episodes, like that girl invited everybody to her apartment, or you know what, the scene
Taco
before
Tuesday?
that. Yeah, but it was actually the scene before that where Tommy came out and invited y'all to brunch, and everybody was talking because somebody was about to get eliminated. That type of not even really hypergamy. It's like the competition among women. It can happen blatantly like that, or subtly, like you see what I'm saying. But that to me is kind of real. It's like women out here look at me, I'm better than this lady. Like to me, that's what really in the world women should be doing. You know, like I said, just out in the world. It won't happen that blatantly all the time, but marketing yourself because hey, look, I'm trying to get in front of this dude. So I do like that particular part of the show.
I like that you like that because a lot of people thought that I was being jealous in this most recent episode. So
No.
I'm glad. It's not that I was being jealous. I was testing the temperature. I wanted to know what the seriousness of how he felt about other women there. So I would just know where things are. It's weird to me that people took that as like Kayla's being jealous. Like, no, I'm just trying to see like, do I have competition or do I not?
Exactly. So me and my brother,
like, do I really have to worry about these other women, or are you just doing the process? You know what I'm saying?
So that's what I really think. Like a lot of women have lost that and think all men are just supposed to approach them, and they sit back and think they can look pretty. My wife is very shy, and she made the biggest boss gesture ever when she moved down here because she like literally did the equivalent of pushing other chicks out the way. And you know that is to me that's the level of conviction you need to have when you're searching for a mate, because obviously as people say, finding a good man, finding a good person is rare, it's hard. Women are extremely hypergamous, all that type of stuff. So I'm glad to see. I like that on the show. Like, look, you only got a limited amount of time, and y'all are girls.
Limited.
And y'all know these women are doing, like you said, stuff behind the scenes. I say that all the time. I'm like,
and that's something.
Smash.
And that's something I didn't know either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get to see. We don't get to see you. The dates. I see them when you guys see them. I don't get to see or hear like details of those dates that my connections are having with other people. So when we all get into a group setting and you see certain chemistry and energy with people, you'd be like, oh, something must have happened here over the last week. You know what I'm saying? That's all that it is.
Why you kiss dude in the bowling alley with that
jealous person that there is? Like if I feel like you're not giving me enough attention, I will just go get it elsewhere. I'm not about to be like, like I'm not that person.
You know monkeypox going around. Why you kiss old boy in the bowling alley?
How many months ago was that?
I'm gonna tell you right now, that boy
I
ain't
didn't plan
your
on that. It was supposed to be a cheek kiss, and he kind of turned his face, and it just turned into that.
That's cap.
Yes,
but at the same time, I mean, I also wanted to change the narrative of the show because I don't watch the show.
He was doing it. I already knew it.
I don't
was
watch.
Like, yo, she's just trying to.
I want to just change the narrative of the show. I don't watch the show. I didn't hear about it before they recruited me to it, but I don't really like fight over men. Like I don't fight over men. I can compete in just me being myself. But like me pursuing a guy, me coming over to you, me being the one initiating everything, that's not really me. So I wanted to create competition amongst the men, and that be the premise versus you. Like women should not be chasing men. We should not be doing it. It should not be happening. Make it stop. That. And so that's what I was trying to do. Okay. Now you have to continue to watch to see how this panned out for me. But just keep watching.
Important question, Kayla. As far as this topic is concerned, Manosphere, do you feel like you get the same atmosphere as, let's say, King Talk, Manosphere versus Lapeef Let's Talk, Manosphere? Do you feel like the atmosphere is the same? It's, you know what I'm saying, the treatment.
Say it again. Say it one more time.
The energy, you know what I'm saying? The atmosphere of how the King Talk, you know how King Talk is on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
You feel like that same atmosphere is translated into Lapeef's Let's Talk, or it's different because it's women there? Because I know what happened Thursday. I know you might not want to talk about it, but it just seemed like things kind of.
So yeah, when the men aren't there, when the women aren't there, I think the men have less to prove. Whenever women get in a situation, men feel the need to have something to prove, especially when there's other men there. They want to prove that they the nigga of the group. They want to prove
It's
they
like
that dude. They want to prove they
thing.
the one that got the knowledge. They the one that got the points that everybody going, ooh, you know? So when women enter the picture, and it doesn't make sense to me, especially if a lot of those men are married.
Oh, so you think somebody's trying to impress somebody?
Want to impress.
So you think it's an oppressive, impress
a popularity contest, like who can be the most riveting? Yeah, it's like high school.
So you wouldn't.
Guys act one way with their friends, but then when a girl comes over, or when we get into those groups where in college we used to call it keeping the ratio. So however many men are there, that need to be the number of women there, right? But when we get into a space where there are a lot more men than women, or a lot more women than men, that also can change the dynamic. Like when we have a show where it's just me, Kay, and Q, and then there's like 6-7 men. You know what I mean? When am I supposed to get a word in?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I have to interrupt you. I have to stop you so that I can talk at any point.
Because that could be
even when it's like, Kayla, what do you think? I'll start. Well, I think da. I get interrupted, but then I'm expected not to interrupt. It's never gonna happen. Like you have to be. I'm not anyone. This is not romantic. This is platonic. This is business. This is work. This is fun. So the way that you interact with people in that instance is different when you're in a ready to love. You're in a dating environment. You know what I'm saying? The way that you just deal with each other is different. I will, and y'all don't see it in episode 4 in that talk that me and Mike had with Tommy's wife. I yielded to Mike many times. We would both be talking and he would like interrupt me and I would just let him interrupt me, you know, or there's time we both start talking at the same time and I'd be like, go ahead, honey. I'm in a dating environment. This is somebody that I like, that I want to pursue. So it's different energy that you get versus when you're like, we're here to argue, we're here to debate, you know, and then there's a historic like background known in terms of people like insulting and demeaning people down. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I just feel like I prefer to be in those spaces because then I can be soft. I don't have to worry about it. I know that no one's going to attack me. I know that no one's going to come at me crazy. I know I'm going to get respect. So I can honestly just chill. So, that's why I asked you earlier, like, do you feel like the Manosphere really is the barbershop? Because if it is, then it's just not a place for women. Like, I don't feel like that's the place for me. I don't want to be in the barbershop. I don't want to have barbershop talk with y'all. I don't want to have venting with the guys talk. I don't want to be a part of any of that.
Well, it's important that you are present to hear it.
But I don't need to.
At this point, I was going to say, no, you need to.
For what?
You need to. In fact, I believe the reason why so many women's feelings are getting hurt is because they never heard it before. The interesting thing about, let's say, somebody like Kevin Samuels, I wasn't really interested. I knew how black women were going to feel about him generally. Yeah, I was looking at women like Asian women, white women, Hispanic women, African women. They were all like, so my daddy used to say this. So right now it seems like, our women, black women, need to get an education in the way men think. That's really it. So that's what one of these spaces, and it's popular because here's the thing. Black women can say that they don't need to be present for this conversation. On Kevin Samuel's show, y'all were the ones calling in. He didn't call people. They called him.
I never even heard of Kevin Samuels till I came on the Lapeef Network.
Well,
I know who he was. I never heard of him. Definitely didn't call into his show. Never heard of the Manosphere. Never heard of anyone in the Manosphere. Even though on my first show, Anton said, Google me. You're going to dream about me. I'm like, what the fuck? This is a weird. Weird.
But yeah, women need
Weird
to hear
shit.
it.
So giving
Married men telling
Y'all
me
see-
that I'm gonna
so-
dream
so
about them. It's
the crazy
weird.
thing is
There's a lot of weird shit that goes on in the manosphere with people that are married, but put so much energy into like other people that are like single and of the opposite sex. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it.
But given the knowledge and the expertise that Kevin Samuels was presenting, you don't think it would have been to your, you don't think you would have gained anything from calling in?
I'm not saying I wouldn't have gained anything, but I'm not calling in to get advice from someone who has no clinical background in this. You don't have a degree in psychology. You're not a therapist. You're not a psychiatrist. You are none of these things. Two, you don't have the results that I want. You're not a happily married man. You've been divorced twice. Three, I don't like the way that you're speaking to some of the women. Get a dog and buy a loan. None of these reasons would get me to call into that show. I would much rather talk to my male colleague, Ron, that's been married for 21 years. Happily married. He's in the band at his church. He plays the guitar at his church. Him and his wife do cycling with other couples. I'm going to go to somebody like that. Somebody that I respect, that I honor, that is my superior at work, that has is a successful Black man doing everything that a role model, results that I want. That's what I'm going to go to. Why would I go to Kevin Samuels?
Unfair. I think that's
because
bit
he has
unfair.
A show.
I think that's a bit unfair because by and large, Black women listen to a bunch of people who don't have clinical experience. And the good thing about Kevin Samuels is that he wasn't giving clinical advice. And I really love the way his show was set up because, like I said, they called him, and then he let them set themselves up. And then he let, like people say, Kevin Samuels raped people. No, he told you to rape yourself. He gave you the rope and you hung yourself. So really, I think this is gonna, I'm gonna get canceled for this. I think people put too much emphasis on clinical expertise and therapy. People put way too much emphasis on clinical expertise and therapy. Around the world, where people do not take meds to regulate their behavior, there might not even be a such thing as a clinical therapist. They have families, they have people that they confide in, or more so, like we talked about, the big brother barbershop talk, people that experience real things. Kevin Samuels' message was valid. Listen, if I want somebody to tell me about how bad a war was, I'm going to go talk to a war veteran. He could tell me a lot about the bad things to do in marriage. And actually, when he was being genuine, he would tell you about the thing. Naturally, his message got lost in all the things people hated about him. But he would tell you about the failures of his marriage. Like one woman tried to say something, he was like, that was my fault. And I knew he was going to say that. I knew he was a man of that character. He's like, that was a failure of leadership. Nobody talks about that. But, that's the reason why it's like, I don't really care if somebody has credentials behind their name all the time. I got credentials behind, like, I don't flaunt that stuff in the street because I've heard, doctors mess up in surgery, like all the time.
It's all about what's important to you. For me personally, man, I would rather go to a person, that a next door neighbor that's been married for 30 years and ask them, how are you able to keep your marriage straight, rather than to go to a marriage counselor who got a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. I mean, it's okay to have an education
Or somebody on the internet.
It's okay but it's just certain things. It's all about what can you use from it. So like you can hear advice, but you only taking what applies to your life. And you're not completely mapping everything and adjusting your life to it. You're just you're pinpointing, just like people do with the Bible, just like Christians do. They use the Bible and they take certain scriptures and that accommodate the lifestyle they want to have. I mean, it's safe to say that on here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is. I don't know anybody who just.
We've seen it with pastors, right? So I mean, just like Too Mad with AJ said, Kevin, like she's saying here, Kevin Samuel had good points, but if people are really being honest, he said some wild stuff to grow his channel, not to help. It's a capitalistic society. So you do have to think about stuff like that. Like the opinion your neighbor that's been married for 30 years is going to give you when they have nothing to benefit. They're just telling you their experience versus someone that is on a performative platform. You always have to think twice about what they say because it's like, is it for views? Is it to grow? Or is it genuine? So I will always think my neighbor is genuine because I mean,
you could always do the research on some of that stuff and figure out if it's true for you.
This may be true or not, but I really feel like that's incorrect because she's saying it did nothing to help. No. there are women that had feelings about what he's saying, but could
No,
not.
I never say he didn't do anything to help.
Yeah, well,
I said he did. He did. She's saying he did help, and he did have good points. But if we're being honest, there is some things that he said for reactional basis to help his channel grow, to help him get out of there. Because when he first started, he was talking to men for how long? Years. And he wasn't making no money, getting no attention, doing nothing. He didn't start. He's not stupid. He didn't start with the women thing until he saw, oh, okay, this shit is getting views. He started changing up his shit. He started doing he was running a business.
Well, I also said the reason I said that is because he was saying the same thing to the women he was saying to men. He did the same, he used the same formula. It's just that women
with the
didn't
women
like
that
what
he was using with the men.
Yeah, he would he had a dude rate himself. What do you think you're worth? What type of woman? Like he did the exact.
Oh no, I remember. Because I remember that meme that's going all the way around that says, you got a big dick?
Yeah.
Like, no, you got a big dick. You know if you got a big dick. Like y'all know that meme? Like a lot of people are redoing it on TikTok. It's super, super funny.
Yeah,
so
but
Kevin has donated to some amazing TikToks. I will say that.
I think he opened up the doorway for people to be more realer than they were before. More realer than your Steve Harvey's, your Dr. Phil's. You know what I'm saying? To address things from a brutally honest aspect. You know what I'm saying? And be unapologetic with it. And nobody was doing that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was tone policing people, and everybody was worried about the delivery. He came onto the platform, and the delivery was fuck the delivery. Let's just give him it raw. Let's just give it straight to him. If you're gonna either take it or leave it.
I think.
So what is it? Steve was too nice? Is
Well,
it? Because I heard Steve say some real harsh things to a lot of people on his show when they had this little Ask Steve commentary. He just doesn't need to say it with like saying it with certain words, and you know what I mean. But he be saying the same thing. He just saying it less.
Will turn into a simp.
Steve got more to lose.
Showman. He like says whatever he needs to say.
Yeah, Steve was for entertainment. Steve, he's for entertainment.
Steve had kids watching him.
I literally watched it the other day on Facebook Watch. He literally said something identical to something that Kevin Samuels said to this lady about her expectations. He said the exact same thing. He just didn't tell her to get a dog and die alone.
But that's
Steve is not going to talk to the end result.
Listen,
because he's not like disrespecting her. It's not valuable.
Kayla, the situation in our community is so dire that I thank God for that man, because he's the only person that sparked the conversation deep enough for people.
Only person to your knowledge.
Like I did not care about the message that was delivered.
So results wise.
It's results wise. Like I wanted him
that. Do you think that
I wanted him
Kevin Samuels has contributed to the increase of marriage, or like give me some actual data on what change has occurred since Kevin came?
I believe so. Just like Bruiser said, I believe now the conversation has been started, and as far as data is concerned, his level of followers and subscribers alone has given away to all of these, has trickled down to all of these other Manosphere spaces in which women also frequent. So that's
it's inspiration, and it's all about awareness, man.
About the change, because earlier when we were talking about political performative behavior, there's a lot of performative behavior I see going on, but I'm asking like data wise.
Yeah, I don't think nobody took the opportunity to record or experimental data on what the impact of what he was doing. Maybe somebody has done in his circle, but for a wide spectrum, I don't think nobody invested in any money to go that far.
Yeah, I know he said a couple of times.
What was the marriage rate before Kevin Samuels became popular? What was the marriage rate after? What was the rate of single mothers before Kevin became popular?
I don't think he got that.
What was
I don't think he reached
male black income before Kevin Samuels, and what is it after?
Interesting thing. Can I say this about him?
We didn't have a Malcolm X impact now.
Exactly. No. But this is the thing, Bruce.
So he was big, but he wasn't that big.
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't like Malcolm X or Martin Luther King or anything like that. But
fellas, this is the interesting thing. Like, we have no idea how that man will be remembered in history until maybe 20, 30 years from now. The interesting thing is that the people he used to reference, Shahrazad Ali, all these people, they were like cast out of society for the books they wrote. Now people are quoting them in their detailed responses to talk to Black women about their behavior. So it's like they were the villain and they moved into the hero space because of what they did. We won't know their impact for years to come, but I do think that he started a conversation.
That's
Yeah,
pretty powerful. That's pretty
and I
powerful,
think
though, what you just said. To be able to pull somebody from being outcast out to being brought in as a hero, just based off of your just referencing them and your talking points, that goes to show you that a lot of people wasn't talking to women. Like a lot of us brothers, it kind of opened my eye to like, damn, where the hell we been? How come we haven't been talking like this?
You
I
know
think
what it
I
is?
think the thing about Kevin Samuels too is I think that Kevin Samuels is good for certain people. I think like Kayla was saying before, like if you have that example, if you have somebody that's been married for 20, 30 years, and they're pretty much at where you're trying to get. If you have that person in your life, I think that's the best choice to go to because they've already kind of been there, done that. But unfortunately, especially in our community, there's a lot of people, they just don't have that in their lives. Like I know some people where there's not one marriage in their family. Here, like everybody just got aunts, uncles, cousins, baby mamas, baby daddies. Like there's not a wedding ring in their family at all. And it is as messed up as that may seem, like that's kind of the reality for some people. So some people just don't really have a good example. So when you see this guy, even though some of his stuff it may be rude, it may come off the wrong way, but you see the core of it is a truth. You see this dude is really telling. It may not be what you want to hear, but you see he's telling the truth. You kind of gravitate towards it because you don't really have a lot of people just don't really have a lot of those positive influences in their life. Like a lot of people, there's a lot of women that weren't taught how to be wives. And there's a lot of men that really weren't taught how to be leaders and husbands in their family. Exactly. So when you got this guy here that's talking about this stuff and a lot of the stuff is making sense and he's speaking truth, it's like, you're gonna gravitate towards it.
Exactly. So look, one of my sayings is that healing hurts first. All right. Yeah. So what he did is really just shine a light on the wounds. Right. So he said, y'all are wounded. And naturally, you're going to cry first. Okay. Healing hurts first. He said, you're wounded. We hate what you're saying. It's like, okay. Die down now. Let the dust settle. And then you got to realize when the dust settles that you're still hurt. So
I think it was all about talking to how everything got fucked up. Because all the conversations was, this is how you fix it. And this is how you do this. And this is how, but whenever you leave a relationship or you break up with somebody, nobody will ever want to find out why the person cheated. They say, oh, he cheated. Fuck that. I don't care. Once a cheater on the cheater, he's a dog. But nobody talked to why did that motherfucker cheat on you?
Yep.
Because then now you can look in the mirror and say, okay, I could share some accountability on why the motherfucker stepped out. And I think Kevin Samuels mastered that and was able to say, like, this is why this happened to you. So if you don't understand why this shit happened to you, then it's gonna repeat. It has the chance or the potential to happen again.
Yeah.
And it's easy just to say that the other dude was just a dog and he just wasn't shit, but it's kind of hard to kind of look at yourself.
Deep dive in and figure out, okay, why does this motherfucker step out on me?
Yeah.
Did I gain weight? You know what I'm saying? Did I become?
And to Kayla's point, this stuff is actually working. So on a systemic level, I got to use the UK because these are the only numbers I know. Less than 7% of women now identify as feminist. Like on, when polled, they don't identify as feminists anymore. In fact, since the pandemic has started, I have not heard one woman identify herself since the pandemic started as a feminist. I think that has a lot to do with that because they know what is associated with that word. Another point that I want to make too is on like the systemic effect of red pill and everything that it's doing. Damn, I lost my train of thought again. I must be tired. But y'all go ahead, man. I'll remember.
We all are. That's what we're going ahead and round and do our final thoughts of the night. Who wants to start?
Yeah, give me a moment to remember my point, then I'll go.
Okay.
I guess I'll start. Mine will be short. I know
Go, Rob.
the main topic was about the manosphere. I think, the thing about the manosphere is, I think it's a good way. It was a good way to interject the black male side of the conversation, because when you talk about black unity, or not just black unity, any type of unity, if you're gonna have true unity, everybody's opinion has to be involved. It's not true unity if you just get the opinion from one side, you know. So I think what the Black Manosphere did is that it interjected the male side of Black unity. Because for a long time, I don't really think it was there. It was just all about, what the Black woman wanted, what the Black woman thought, we need to do this, we need to do that. That's what was really put on the forefront of the mainstream conversation, especially on the Democratic Party. But what the Manosphere did when they introduced the Black opinion, the Black male opinion, I think a lot of people didn't really feel comfortable with it. A lot of people didn't really like it because a lot of people wasn't really used to hearing our side of it, and the black male opinion, it comes with a lot of, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of bitterness, a lot of suffering. It's a lot of shit that comes with that, because there's a lot of shit that Black men go through that a lot of people don't really think about. And they haven't really thought about it for a long time, because it's just not something that's really thought about or cared about in mainstream media. So when you start hearing a lot of this stuff, like I know a lot of times it sounds like men just venting and just complaining about Black women and doing all this stuff, but a lot of it is just, you're just hearing a side of the story that you haven't really heard. And there's a lot of hurt that comes from that. And it's a lot, and it's a lot of healing that needs to come with that too. I think one of the first parts of healing is venting. You got to get it out. You got to talk with people, in order to properly heal from a lot of these scars, because a lot of Black men out here, they don't have anybody to talk to. A lot of them, they don't have a man in their life. They don't have a father in their life. They don't have a positive role model in their life at all. And even when it comes to like a football coach or a basketball coach, they only really give a shit about you if you're doing well. If you're not doing well in ball, if you're or basketball or football, they really don't give a shit about you. So is that really a positive role model? Like, okay, I'm only gonna care about you and give you attention if you're doing well for me, that conditional love, so it's like a lot of people just didn't really have that, and they found that in the Manosphere. They found a area where they could talk and they could find other people that may have gone through the same thing that they can really talk with this stuff about. So, I think it's important. I think it's good. Do you have your trolls? Do you have your bitter people? Do you got, your sorry dudes that just want to complain? But sure, but that's in every circle though. You're always going to find that, but all in all, I think it's good though. That's kind of my final thoughts.
I think it's good, man.
That was great.
Most definitely good. I think in some cases it could get a little toxic. I'm not going to sit here and be biased about it and just say every talking space or manosphere where they have these outlets for men to come together is completely positive. I think there's some negativity, and that just those people's own fault. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's only for men. A lot of these spaces is for women to be included in the conversation, in the discussion as well. Especially mine's. But I will say that it's kind of hard for me to pinpoint the purpose of it. I would say in two parts that I think the purpose of it is to give men a place to come share awareness and understanding, financially, spiritually, emotionally, all those other things. And then I also think that, and I might get killed for this, I think that the ultimate purpose of a manosphere And this is just my opinion. It's not a fact. It's just what I'm starting to figure out because I'm just starting to see this come on a rise. I think because women are becoming modern women and they're getting away from traditional women, and it's kind of hurting the norm that the black man or the man period has been living in. And now it feel like we're being attacked. It feel like we're being put down, you know what I'm saying, in all aspects of life. And women are becoming more masculine. Women are becoming the head of households. Women are becoming leaders in the jobs and degrees and all this other stuff. So now we got to figure out. Now we got to come huddle up. Okay, now we got to come up with a different play. Things are changing. So how do we show these women that are saying that we need to be second and their careers need to be first? How do we show these women that maybe you need to, maybe you need to think about it? Okay, so women are saying in response, okay, what do we need to think about? Show us that we need to think about it. Otherwise, we're going to go up these corporate ladders. We're going to go do for ourselves. We're going to go be self-sufficient because we're tired of your shit. So now we got to figure out as men, how do we come together and educate one another to value our women more? You know what I'm saying? To put time in there and not just use them as sexual objects. How do we optimize having a family and a legacy to pass down to our kids? We got to come to the plan. We got to huddle back up and figure out because things are changing. And there's nothing we can do about it. The only way we can change it is come together and talk to each other. We can't go out here and change the policy. Yeah, we can vote them in, but you also got women voting for these same policies too. And last time I checked, women are leading in the voting polls. So
I mean, a lot of women mostly go with what their husbands vote. So
all right. So I mean, I remember growing up. I'm from the 80s. I'm from the 80s, man. Like I grew up in the early 90s. I used to see my auntie and my mom leave and they go in the room and talk. I'm like, damn, what's that all about? Why all the women go out and huddle in the men wasn't doing that shit. Men was like, what up, brother? Let's play the game. Let's watch football. Boom. Women will go upstairs in a whole nother room and have a conversation. They've been doing this shit. They've been having a woman spirit. I feel like we just started to do this shit. And because we're doing that, because we got to think of a game plan. So these women were thinking about these game plans way years behind. And now that it's starting to come into effect, now we got to come huddle up. And I could be wrong, but that's just what my anticipation is telling me on why this thing is on the rise like this, why men coming to go talk. And I think it's just to spread awareness. How do we better ourselves as men to attack this issue we have in our relationships with men and women?
Yep. All right. So final thoughts. I take this shit kind of seriously, so I made notes.
Okay.
All right. So I want to talk about the black manosphere specifically because the manosphere is actually very vast. All right. The manosphere is masculine. The manosphere is toxic. The manosphere is abrasive. It's profane, and it can be borderline offensive to most people. But I want people to understand that the black manosphere is a collection of our thoughts, but also our experiences. So as black women, you got to understand that if you say you're accepting of black men, you need to be accepting of all of it. All right. So that is, there is no deal to be made here. That is how we take back control of our community. It really starts with the men and understanding and accepting our experiences. We're here telling you. It's not that we need permission for you to like it. That is one of the fundamental issues in our community. We are shouted down anytime we talk about our true experience or our feelings about any situation. And that can't continue. This is why this space is so important. It's why we need to keep progressing on it. And I believe Marcus was talking about it earlier. The censorship needs to stop. You got to understand, I'm going to go back since, Andrew Tate was in the picture. One of the things he said is, I'm paraphrasing, you can't have a buffet of masculinity. It's all or nothing. All right. You can't say that you on here talking BS about women, but the people on the Titanic women were all for masculinity when it was us staying on the boat and y'all going on when it was us staying on the ship and y'all going on the little boats to be saved. Y'all love masculinity in those times. Well, guess what? You got to love it all the time or none of the time. So that's what I'm really saying. Accept all of it or none. Be done with it. Don't mess with men. Go find you a docile man. This is our space to talk about how we talk, same way we talk about Same things we talk about in the barbershop and how we really feel. I know it can scare Black women because they've never heard it before. But I promise you, in your safety is in our masculinity. So you might as well take the time to understand it and accept it. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, very much. I do think that this has been a progressive conversation. Obviously, at the Kayla show, we do like to talk about women things and give women some time. But I definitely wanted to address this Andrew Tate thing, considering we will not be seeing him on our feed anytime soon. So I think that is very interesting. I'm going to go ahead and shout out our final super chats of the night on our way out. We got Best Kicks, $4.99. Thank you so much. Said aspiring to be high value man with status over paying OnlyFans models. Yep. Andrew Tate is a catalyst for the next gen. The world is waking up. I'm not really sure about all of that. We have to go ahead and wait for the alleged sex trafficking investigation to be finished. Then we can speak to that. Antoine Guthrie says, the taller the tree, the deeper the roots. Understanding the roots before worrying about the branches. I like that. I like that a lot in terms of us getting down to, the true issues versus just the collateral damage of that. So I am so excited that we were able to have this conversation. I do think it's quite progressive. And I think it's great when we can, talk and we can have a progressive conversation without it like getting crazy, no insults, no name calling. Like we can have debates and it actually like be good, be cool. So yeah, you guys, be sure to your channel tomorrow. Y'all already know every Wednesday over on my channel. Thursday, we have Let's Talk. Y'all already know. So we will see y'all right here next time on Lapeef Network.
All right, see y'all later.